Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Naruto. I, Gojo Satoru, become Uchiha Itachi younger brother. Chapter 61. Yakushi Kabuto looked up at Uchiha Sasuke opposite, a little tangled and weird in his eyes. I'd better finish his info card first. Wu Jiaowu, Sweet Ninja Village Ninja. Mission experience. 5 for D level, 6 for C level. It seems normal, Naruto said, scratching his head. He also thought that Mr. Bandage was some kind of super powerful ninja. I always feel that this experience doesn't quite fit the image of Mr. Bandage. Yakushi Kabuto shook his head after hearing Naruto's words, and he continued softly. However, it is said that he assisted in an A-level mission and successfully abducted the princess of Taki no country. And he was once offered a bounty by multiple countries, and it was only during this period that the arrest warrant was withdrawn. As for other more detailed information, we don't know. What? A-level mission. Kidnap the princess. Wanted by many countries. Is it so fierce? But how come these don't sound like good words? Them. Everyone's eyes suddenly fell on Wu Jiaowu, who was still eating 3 meatballs. The food-focused, languid man in front of him was not at all as ferocious as he had experienced. Suddenly, Wu Jiaowu added a lot of mysterious filters out of thin air. Those mundane actions also began to become meaningful. Who is he? Have you ever participated in so many dangerous actions? But how did he do it as a genin? And although the wanted order has been withdrawn, is there really no problem with him coming to the exam in such an open and honest way? Immediately, suspicions arose in everyone's heart, and they stared at Wu Jiaowu with burning eyes. Sasuke, who was waiting for an answer, heard Yakushi Kabuto's words, and his eyes flashed with surprise. Should these experiences be fake? According to the strength of the second brother, there is no more than this level. However, being wanted by many countries and abducting the princess sounds like the style of the second brother. What has he done in the years since he disappeared? Sasuke fell into deep shock. Little Sakura, who had already heard these words, was not surprised at all. Instead, she had such an expression on her face. It seems that Kakashi-sensei is not wrong at all, they are really dangerous. No, Naruto stammered. His blue eyes were full of shock. Although he felt that the previous card experience was too bland, it was not like Mr. Bandage at all. It doesn't mean that he thinks Mr. Bandage will do such a big thing. Senior, are you mistaken? How could he or genin do such a thing? Naruto raised the same doubts as everyone. No matter how powerful genin is, he can only complete a B-rank mission like Gaara, right? Is it too much to complete an A-level mission? Even if you only help from the side, you still feel difficult. Yakushi Kabuto dismissed everyone's doubts. Years of espionage experience told him that there was no absolute relationship between how many tasks he completed and his strength. It is also important to gather intelligence or cooperate with other mission performers. Genin can actually do it if he just assists from the side, but this kind of task generally has high requirements on Shinsheng. However, he did not show the indifference in his heart, but continued to say with a tangled expression. The next thing I'm going to talk about is this Sweet Ninja Village. Although the name is Sweet Ninja Village, in fact, this village is not as beautiful as the name. It is a ninja village that takes in a large number of wandering ninjas to provide its own strength. Most of the ninjas in there are the type of people who will do anything to get their way. So the person you're talking about is afraid. He didn't say anything but left the crowd endless room for imagination. Obviously, his blank space made the foreshadowing more real and made everyone more vigilant. All eyes turned to Wu Jiaowu. Who is he, to be able to complete the A-level mission and escape the wanted of all countries? And still staying in that nasty ninja village. Even if his strength is mediocre, it must not be simple. The nearby Shikamaru looked warily at Wu Jiaowu, who was distraught. This Chunin exam is really mixed. Does anyone have it? Fortunately, his strength is not outstanding, otherwise it would be troublesome to encounter such a dangerous person. To be able to complete these tasks at the level of genin, he is an intelligence worker. Or the people who are responsible for cleaning the trails and cleaning the tails. As for the combatants, it is unlikely. After all, it would be unreliable to think that genin would go to an A-level battle. Shikamaru held his chin and thought to himself. In an instant, everyone on the scene suddenly became vigilant. Compared with Gaara's outstanding strength and experience, this kind of person who is obviously low in strength but can participate in many major events is more alert and surprising to them. How did he do that? This character is too dangerous. However, now that his past and experience have been exposed, there shouldn't be too much trouble and problems. Everyone's eyes followed Wu Jiaowu and looked at the two ninjas beside him who had been silent for a while. After a long time, everyone silently moved away from the Wu Jiaowu trio. Stay away from this dangerous person. Sasuke, Naruto, they must have approached us for some purpose. Little Sakura reminded Sasuke and Naruto. Let's be more vigilant. However, what is the purpose of their so much trouble? No, Naruto's eyes flashed with disappointment. Mr. Bandage should not be such a person, right? Is this a misunderstanding? At the same time, Sasuke's eyes were a little tangled after hearing the words of little Sakura. He should be the special reason that little Sakura said. Second brother, I came to see him this time. However, this kind of thing must not be told to them. Otherwise, the second brother may be in unexpected danger. We seem to have been misunderstood. Ghost Lantern Yu whispered to the other two. Wu Jiaowu nodded and his expression remained the same. The blue eyes were still as calm as ever. This is probably what Yakushi Kabuto did on purpose. In this way, communication between them and Naruto is blocked. Prevent them from interfering with Orochimaru's plans. So cautious, it was obviously impossible for them to stop Orochimaru's plans from their apparent strength, but he still did it just in case. Wu Jiaowu thought of the Taoist priest silently with the three-color ball in his mouth. Quiet me all, you fools. Suddenly, a loud shout woke Wu Jiaowu, who was still thinking. He raised his head and looked forward slowly. What caught my eye were countless ninjas who suddenly appeared. One of the ninjas with a scar in the middle of his face looked at the crowd with a serious expression. I've been waiting for a long time. I'm the first examiner of Chunin's selection, Ibiki Mori. Let me make it clear first, you can't fight privately without the examiner's permission. Even if the examiner allows it, it is not allowed to take actions that cause the opponent's death. Stupid pigs who dare to disobey this gentleman will be eliminated immediately. Do you understand? With his falling voice, the first examination of Chunin's selection officially began. In this exam, there are several very important rules. I won't answer any of your questions after that, so listen to me. First of all, the first rule, all of you have 10 points at the beginning of the exam, all 10 questions in the written test, and 1 point for each question. Then the test takes the form of deduction. 1 point will be deducted for 1 wrong question, only 7 points will be left if you get 3 questions wrong, and 0 points will be left if you get all 10 questions wrong. Rule 2. Eligibility is calculated based on the total score of the 3 team members. Finally, cheating in exams and similar cheating behaviors will be deducted 2 points once the invigilator finds out. That is to say, some people may have to withdraw from the exam before the final judgment. Then if one of the squad scores 0 points, the entire squad is deemed ineligible. Wu Jiaowu took a random seat and began to look around. It's all scattered. There was a faint smile in the blue eyes under the bandages. These exams now are much better and more peaceful than they were back then. Just gathering intelligence is enough. He picked up the paper and glanced at it. Gee, it's simple. The answers to these questions that did not require 6 eyes to explore were already in his mind. At the same time, Sasuke read all the questions carefully. That's it. He smiled knowingly. Then everything was calm. There is no such thing as a question. He glanced around from the corner of his eye. Staring so hard, as if we already knew we were going to cheat. Question mark. Isn't this a simple scholastic test? It was an intelligence-gathering battle using camouflage and concealment. After making up his mind, he began to carefully observe the people around him. Who among them can answer these questions? Suddenly, his eyes stopped, and he stopped on Wu Jiaowu, who was writing unexpectedly and smoothly. No way, second brother, does he know these questions himself? He found no trace of cheating on Wu Jiaowu. Shouldn't this be done by myself? Isn't he someone who can even tell the chakra attributes wrong? If Wu Jiaowu knew what was in his heart, he would definitely cry out his injustice. He's really just unreliable occasionally. As for the rest, a subject like this couldn't be easier for him. Even the Itachi guy can handle it with ease. After all, He's also someone who was once called a genius, okay. Sasuke's mouth curved slightly and he silently turned on Sharingan. Second brother, let me use your answer first. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes when he looked at the clean roll surface and the complete answering process. I didn't expect him to answer really well. With the passage of time, everyone began to cheat in their own way. Except for some who were caught cheating, there were still a large number of candidates who successfully stayed in the classroom. In the end, the examiner, Ibiki Mori, looked at the crowd and announced the 10th question. First of all, you have to choose. Do you want to answer this 10th question? If you don't choose, the candidate will be judged on the spot with 0 points, that is, unqualified, and of course the two companions will be eliminated together. And then there's a rule: if you choose to answer a question and don't get it right, then the answerer will be permanently disqualified from taking the Chunin exam in the future. This was a psychological battle. Finally, at the insistence of some candidates, the examiner, Ibiki Mori, announced that all the candidates present had successfully passed the first exam, and Naruto also passed the exam with a blank paper. Immediately after, they came to the 44th exercise field, the venue for the second exam. Wu Jiaowu casually looked around with the three-color ball in his mouth. He soon noticed Orochimaru hidden in the crowd. Gee, that slippery slimy snake is so annoying. Under the bandages, Wu Jiaowu's blue eyes suddenly became sharp, and his expression was no longer as sloppy as before. Under the inside of the 6 eyes, he clearly realized that Orochimaru was stronger than before. The progress is not small. Wu Jiaowu didn't feel nervous because of the pressure and challenge, but his heart became calmer. In the past few years, I haven't had the original tension and pressure, but I'm still not used to it. That's just right now. Not far away, Mitarashi Anko continued to explain. It's called the Forest of Death, and you can experience it for yourself right away. No matter how you scare me, I'm fine, I'm not afraid at all. Naruto said proudly in the face of Anko's threats. Really, are you in good spirits? Anko smiled meaningfully. Then she suddenly shot, and the sharp shuriken slashed Naruto's cheek, accidentally cutting the hair of the strange woman behind her. Mitarashi Anko suddenly stepped behind Naruto, she said with great interest. Children like you are usually the first to die. Spit my favorite bright red blood. Wu Jiaowu looked at Mitarashi Anko's actions rather amusingly. Isn't it bad to scare children like this? He remembers someone still crying secretly in his favorite recliner. However, does Mitarashi Anko know that she just went to cut off his teacher's long hair just now? While Wu Jiaowu was thinking about it, Orochimaru disguised the long-haired girl suddenly and silently appeared behind Mitarashi Anko. His long tongue curled around a Mitarashi Anko who was pointed forward by a kunai. However, Mitarashi Anko has not been abandoned over the years, and his skills are obviously much better than before. She quickly picked up another kunwu to block the long-haired girl. Orochimaru smiled strangely, his eyes shining with the light unique to snakes. Kunai, return to you. He didn't seem to intend to reveal his whereabouts, and gave a simple explanation, and his murderous intent followed. Mitarashi Anko glanced at the long-haired girl behind him and said coldly. But don't stand behind me with murderous intent. If you don't want to die sooner. Hearing this, Orochimaru's expression remained unchanged. He looked at Mitarashi Anko and said hoarsely. Sorry, I'm the type of person who gets excited when I see blood. And you broke my hair. It's more exciting. During the conversation, his out-of-the-way vision swept slightly over Uzumaki Naruto in front of him. The murderous aura also began to spread in this slight peripheral vision. In an instant, Naruto between the two suddenly froze. His blue eyes flashed with shock. What kind of breath is this? Seeing this scene not far away, Wu Jiaowu put down the three-color ball in his hand, and his eyes gradually became sharper. What a shame. Unexpectedly, Orochimaru will only bully children in recent years. Although his strength has improved a lot, his character has declined a lot. Thinking of this, he took brisk steps and gradually walked towards Orochimaru, and there was a light smile on his lips. Yo, what a terrifying murderous aura. I was really frightened. However, bullying children or something is really what a auntie is most willing to do when she is over 100 years old. As soon as the voice fell, the three people who were deadlocked not far away looked over. What caught their eyes was Wu Jiaowu, wearing a black robe, waving his arms covered in bandages and with a mysterious breath. He walked over slowly, and the whole person was relaxed and lazy, as if he was on an outing. Who is this? Mitarashi Anko and Orochimaru thought at the same time. Mr. Bandage. Naruto looked at Wu Jiaowu not far away in surprise, his golden hair gleaming in the sunlight. Hi, kid, Wu Jiaowu greeted with a smile on the corner of his mouth. At the same time, Orochimaru looked coldly at Wu Jiaowu, who disturbed his interest. Although it was possible to ignore his secret murderous intent, it was nothing more than that. He has never had much patience with such a worthless guy. He didn't even have the desire to crush him with his own hands. And Mitarashi Anko next to him looked equally surprised. However, in addition to being surprised, he secretly felt pity for him. I am afraid that he has already provoked a strong enemy before he even played, so there is probably no hope for this exam. Mitarashi Anko was keenly aware of the strangeness of the long-haired girl who had just released her murderous aura. This ninja probably had a lot of blood on his hands, and his breath was strange and cold, which was quite tricky and difficult to deal with. On the other hand, the bandaged boy was very simple and clean. At first glance, he looked like a rookie, with no experience in the battlefield at all. He won't have any chance of winning this match. A look of pity flashed in Anko's eyes. Obviously, she still appreciates this kind of guy who dares to speak up for others and has extraordinary courage. Especially since he's also an outer village ninja. She appreciates the fact that a ninja from the outer village can help her rival. Although the shape is a little strange, the people are still good. Sasuke and little Sakura, who were preparing to pass, also stopped. Sasuke stood aside with his arms folded, the corners of his mouth raised slightly. Unexpectedly, the second brother is quite reliable when it is critical. At this moment, little Sakura also looked strange and surprised. Strange, why did he come over? Has his identity been revealed? Why are you still helping? Seeing Wu Jiaowu breathing lazily not far away, little Sakura had a hard time connecting him with the rumored ones. Orochimaru, who was in the sight of many people, let out a low laugh, and his eyes contained danger. What a pity, now is not the time. He sighed secretly. Immediately, he put away his long tongue, threw away the kunai just now and turned to leave. The cold air around him caused the crowds he passed to quickly evacuate. What a horrible person, the other students thought silently in their hearts. Naruto, who was beside him, covered his injured cheek and looked at the strange woman with long hair who left in the distance. Why is that guy's tongue so long? He seemed to have forgotten the murderous aura and nervousness just now, and muttered to himself. At the same time, Mitarashi Anko withdrew his eyes from the long-haired girl. It's almost time, and it's time to announce the exam information. She walked quickly to the crowd and announced loudly. Then, before the second exam begins, I'm sending this to you. Anko raised the paper in his hand and continued. It's a consent form. Those who want to take the test must first sign here. Why? Naruto asked in confusion. A bright smile appeared on Anko's face, and she replied briskly. Someone may die after that. In this regard, prior consent must be obtained, otherwise it becomes my responsibility. Ha ha ha, she waved her hand and looked very irresponsible. What? Why is it like this? It looks so unreliable. The candidates below looked at the examiner with dissatisfaction and muttered in secret. Mitarashi Anko did not care about the emotions of the candidates below, she continued. Then start the instructions for the second exam. Simply put, it is for you to launch the ultimate wild survival challenge here. First of all, I will explain in the order of the terrain of this exercise field. This is the ground 44 practice ground, a circle surrounded by the locked entrance of 44. In this limited area, a field survival project will be carried out. It's about, anything can happen, real battles. The Book Days and the Book of Earth are the battles surrounding these two scrolls. 26 teams that passed the first exam. Half of the 13 teams took the Book of Heaven, and the other half of the 13 teams took the Book of Earth. I gave each team a volume. In short, they scrambled for each other. Come to the center of the tower with the scrolls of the two volumes of Heaven and Earth. After the explanation, Mitarashi Anko looked at the crowd calmly and said. One last reminder. Don't die. Soon every team on the scene got the relevant scrolls, and they began to enter the exercise field separately. Let's go too. Wu Jiaowu turned slightly to the side of Bai and Ghost Lantern. Exam room. Sounds quite interesting. Okay. Bai and Ghost Lamp followed his pace. The three of them entered the examination room together. After they entered, a group of people also entered the examination room at another entrance of the examination. Let's go to those three little devils first. A ninja wearing a forehead protector in the ninja village said indifferently. No, go to the white-haired bandage first. Kill him. Forget it, let's see who we can meet first, shall we? If that white-haired boy is unfortunate enough to meet us. All three of them showed the same murderous aura. I'm afraid that guy doesn't know who he is provoking. Master Wu, which direction are we going? The little ghost Yu asked. Wu Jiaowu sensed Sasuke's approximate location after hearing the words. Suddenly, countless streams of data poured into his mind. Coincidentally, they were assigned the farthest north and south. Wu Jiaowu sighed as he looked at such a long distance. So complicated, or destroy it. By the way, Mom shouldn't mind Sasuke being marked with the snake mark of love by Orochimaru, right? Shouldn't it? Well, no matter what, he was given power. Moreover, the aesthetics of tattoos are also closely followed by fashion and unique wisdom. At least he is more handsome than when he went to Taki no Country 2 years ago and spent 503 color balls to make a successful look. Thinking of this, Wu Jiaowu couldn't help complaining secretly. Don't you want to be fragrant with the Sky Eye White Tiger tattoo? Why did Shisui stop him? Wu Jiaowu held his chin and said loosely. It's so troublesome, I'm completely out of motivation. Next to Shiro and Ghost Lantern Caillou looked at each other. Each of them held Wu Jiaowu's 2 arms. What are you doing? Wu Jiaowu was dragged north by them for a long time. By the way, how do you know it's from the north? He asked frankly. His face was full of contentment and calmness, and he could not see any embarrassment of being dragged away. Gui Deng Yu wiped the sweat from her face and complained feebly. Why did things get to this point? Lord Wu, isn't he ready to get up and go by himself? Doesn't he find it strange at all? She's from the Ghost Lantern clan, not the brawny guys like Rock Shinobi. Is it really good to let her, a weak girl, do this? Ghost Lantern Yu glanced at Wu Jiaowu, who was enjoying the sun and air with his eyes closed. Ah, this man has no heart. Just go in the farthest direction. Bai said silently. Master Wu must be looking for those 3 people. Although I don't know the exact location, I can roughly guess it by looking at Wu Jiaowu's expression. Go in the farthest direction. Ha, Wu Jiaowu patted the dust on his body and stood up. You were really smart. There was a smile in the blue eyes under the bandages. Okay, let's go. Isn't that the one who carried the gourd before? Quote. Ghost Lantern Yu whispered. Sand Waterfall Gaara. Bai said calmly. Wu Jiaowu held his chin and watched the battle ahead. Really unlucky today. Met Gaara at a must-pass. He has already discovered their existence. After all, they just not far ahead. Hey, kid, the one-eyed ninja said disdainfully. You should choose your opponents well. You will die. Stop talking nonsense, Gaara said indifferently. Come on, Uncle Rain Shinobi. As soon as he finished speaking, the one-eyed ninja on the opposite side suddenly turned pale, revealing an unconcealed anger in his expression. Kankuro carefully observed the 3 ninjas in the Rain Shinobi village opposite. Who is holding the scroll, and what scroll is it holding? Hello, Gaara, shouldn't it be better to follow them to find out where the scrolls are before starting the grab? If the scrolls are the same, there is no need to grab them. There is no need to fight. What does it matter? Gaara's voice was extremely cold. I'm going to kill everyone I see. A terrifying murderous aura overflowed from his body. In an instant, the whole world was filled with a biting murderous intent that he couldn't burn out. Whether it was the opposite Rain Shinobi village trio or Gaara's own teammates, they all felt this intense murderousness at this moment. Kankuro tried his best to calm his fluctuating heart, and looked at Gaara in front of him with a complicated look. So I said I hate being with this guy. HMPH, let's get started. The one-eyed ninja stabilized his mind and looked at Gaara and the others again. It's just a bunch of little devils, there's no need to be scary. He crossed his hands and pulled out the black umbrella behind him, and then forcefully threw it into the sky. Go to hell, kid. Forbearance. Like 1,000 books in the rain. Countless special steel needles fell from the sky with the rotation of the black paper umbrella. They attacked the calm Gaara with murderous intent. Up, down, left and right, this trick has no dead ends. The one-eyed ninja said confidently. And the 1,000 needles are controlled by chakra. Definitely hit the target. In the face of countless murderous special needles, Gaara just stood calmly and did not move at all. Rain Shinobi Ninja watched the 1,000 needles go away, the dust rose, and the corner of his mouth showed a hint of pride. Vulnerable. His happy smile faded as the smoke receded. All the needles just shot into the sand rising around Gaara. He folded his arms and kept his original movement unscathed. Why, how could it be, one of them? Uncle Rain Shinobi showed a shocked look on his face. Unscathed. How is it possible? Impossible. He didn't give up and continued to cast 1,000 needles to attack Gaara. However, Gaara still didn't do anything, just raise the sand again to block the 1,000 needles. Is this 1,000 needles rain? Then, I'm going to rain down blood. What a powerful chakra. Ghost Lantern Yu hidden in the tree said to Wu Jiaowu. And that sand has a strong smell of blood. Bai's voice narrated calmly. A look of vigilance flashed across his face. So strong. There is no chance of winning against him. Wu Jiaowu nodded, the blue color was still calm and clear. It's pretty awesome, but it might be a bit of a hassle after a while. He obviously just wants to be lazy, why is it so difficult? Could it be that his character is a social animal who worked overtime and vomited to death? Shouldn't it be? He's so handsome that he shouldn't have fallen to this point. This is an absolute defense formed by sand. Wu Jiaowu explained to Ghost Lantern and Bai. Manipulating the sand in the gourd and fixing it with the powerful chakra to protect your surroundings is a relatively used trick. Which is more practical? It's obviously quite powerful. Gui Deng Yu said silently after listening to it. However, how did he know? Obviously, he had never played against a Sunogaku master before. See it, so fast. As expected of the genius ninja she plans to follow. After listening to their conversation seriously, Bai turned his attention to the battle on the opposite side. It turned out to be a barrier of sand. Uncle Rain Shinobi looked at everything in front of him in shock. That's right, this is an absolute defense formed by sand, and all attacks are ineffective in front of Gaara. Kankuro gave the same answer as Wu Jiaowu. Just because you can't beat Gaara. Don't underestimate people, the one-eyed ninja shouted loudly. How is this possible? But a child. He rushed towards Gaara angrily. Seeing this scene, Kankuro and Gaara shook their heads slightly. This guy is dead. Who told him to rebel against me? Did I Luo? No one can beat Gaara here. Sand-bound coffin. Gaara stretched out her hand to perform ninjutsu. Countless sands firmly bound the one-eyed ninja. Gaara walked over and picked up the black umbrella on the ground and slowly opened it. Sand waterfall burial. The voice just fell. The one-eyed ninja turned into a rain of blood and died. There is no pain, because I am so strong that there is no need for him to suffer. The blood of the dead is mixed into the rolling sand, giving Shira stronger power. He looked up at the other two ninjas, his eyes full of murderous intent. In the blink of an eye, 2 more lives disappeared in an instant. Kankuro picked up the Book of Heaven on the ground and looked at Gaara beside him. Okay, let's go to the center tower now. Shut up, it's not enough. Gaara looked at Wu Jiaowu and their hiding place. Forget it, Gaara. Kankuro immediately realized something and stopped him. Are you afraid, coward? Gaara continued to walk in the direction of Wu Jiaowu and the others. Oh, it's really bad, it was discovered. A bright smile rose from the corner of Wu Jiaowu's mouth, who was leaning against the big branch. Wu Jiaowu slowly jumped down from the tree, and he walked in front of Gaara without any hassle. Ghost Lantern Yu and Bai also came out and stood behind Wu Jiaowu. It's you. Gaara looked up at the black-robed boy not far away. His beast-like eyes suddenly flickered. I didn't expect it to be him. Kankuro and Tamari also looked at Wu Jiaowu in surprise. Didn't expect to meet again so soon. However, this time he will not be as lucky as the last time. Gaara has already gone crazy, and will not let go of those who have provoked him. Meet again. Wu Jiaowu waved his bandaged arm friendly. What a coincidence. Very good. Gaara looked at Wu Jiaowu coldly with inorganic eyes. I need more blood. As soon as the voice fell, Gaara's sand faintly gathered and formed. I really don't like meaningless sports. Wu Jiaowu muttered softly. It's really troublesome. His posture was still as casual as ever, but every muscle and nerve was ready, and there was no gap between his actions. The pale blue eyes were calm and unwavering. Gaara's eyes moved slightly, and the sand surrounding her body instantly turned into a huge palm, attacking Wu Jiaowu. Tisk, patience is so poor. Wu Jiaowu kept dodging Gaara's attacks, a slight smile on the corner of his mouth. He reached out and raised a dozen shuriken. Swipe. Shuriken attacked Gaara with the cold light. Bang bang bang. After a few sharp sounds, the shuriken was completely blocked by the sand barrier. I said, Gaara's defense is absolute, no one can beat him. Kankuro shook his head and said calmly. Wu Jiaowu in front of him was already a dying person in his eyes. He reminded sympathetically of the life he was about to lose. By the way, there are 2 more people here. Wu Jiaowu apologized sincerely. The sense of presence is too low, and I didn't see it for a while. Sorry. Only his brisk tone made Kankuro and Temari even more angry. Temari stared at him with dissatisfaction, as if flames were burning in his eyes. Who is this? Why so hot? Kankuro didn't react to this, just a little surprised that he was still so calm in the face of Gaara. Is he really not afraid at all? He is facing Gaara who can take his life. But maybe he didn't even know what kind of monster he was facing. At the same time, the ghost lights Caillou and Bai on the side accepted the scene in front of them well. Wu Jiaowu just told them about Gaara's attack and defense features, and it's impossible to forget it now. All he should have planned otherwise. Although they don't fully understand Wu Jiaowu's strength, they still have a certain degree of trust. He never does anything he is not sure about. The 2 of them watched Wu Jiaowu's movements attentively. Tisk, that's too much. I work hard here, and I turn around and start watching the play over there. Wu Jiaowu held his chin and fell into thought, and at the same time his body flashed a new round of attacks. Yu, Bai, don't you think this is a good opportunity for actual combat? They are all good opponents, just let me see how your practice is progressing. Lele alone is not as good as everyone, and Wu Jiaowu decided to pull them into the battle. Ghost Lantern Yu and Bai were silent for a moment at the same time. Doesn't it sound so nice to keep them busy too? The number of times they have been pitted has been long, and the 2 of them are quite experienced. However, as Wu Jiaowu said, this is indeed a good opportunity to see how strong everyone is. Shiro soon confronted Kankuro, who was opposite, and Kazuki was also confronted by another ninja, Temari. Also let me see your strength. Kankuro said nothing to the always silent. On the other hand, Kazuki and Temari did not make the same pre-war declaration as they did. The 2 of them fought without saying a word. Well, this is perfect. Wu Jiaowu nodded with satisfaction, his short white hair gleaming in the sunlight. His inattentive attitude immediately aroused the anger of Gaara on the opposite side. Are you ignoring me? I want to tear you apart. His eyes became even colder, and his fingers quickly became imprinted. Sand-bound prison. Sand binding is a ninjutsu that uses chakra to control the sand and bury the enemy in a large amount of sand. It has a large capture range. Are you bound by sand? The corner of Wu Jiaowu's mouth twitched slightly, and the whole person came to dodge at a fast speed, and flashed after images with quick movements. It's hard to catch him at this speed. Fire style. Just burn it. Wu Jiaowu performed ninjutsu with surprisingly quick fingers. The fierce fire and the scorching temperature quickly hit Gaara. The sand shield rose and successfully blocked the attack. An attack of this level. Before Gaara could finish speaking, she suddenly stopped strangely. He suddenly found that the sand wall that had resisted fire style just now was hot. How come? How does the temperature get past? At the same time, Wu Jiaowu on the opposite side has figured out the strength of Gaara's attack and defense. This level of attack is not absolute. His defenses can be defeated as long as the attack speed and strength reach a certain level. However, Wu Jiaowu was not in a hurry to do anything. He looked faintly at Shiro and Ghost Lantern Caillou who were fighting hard. Ha ha ha, you are so rude. Wu Jiaowu laughed mercilessly. It's not over yet. Ghost Lantern Yu twitched the corners of her mouth helplessly. Hasn't the battle just begun? And we're a lot younger than the 2 guys across from us. If you want to fight quickly, isn't the requirement too high? On the other side, Bai also heard this sentence. he did not look back and always kept a high degree of concentration to face the enemy. Wu Jiaowu held his chin and watched the fight between Guidong Yu and Tamari for a while. Suddenly, he spoke to Ghost Lantern Yu in a brisk tone. This attack and defense combination is very good. This is to create a storm by manipulating a giant fan. The opponent involved in the storm will be attacked by countless invisible vacuum blades. This technique lasts for a long time. This can also use airflow collision to create a vacuum state, which can make fire style, sound, bombs and other ninjutsu all invalid. So be aware of that when you attack. After hearing the words, Ghost Lantern Yu immediately changed the way and mode of attack. She smacks her tongue while attacking. Is this kind of precise judgment a human being can have? It's not the first time I've seen it, but every time I feel it's too much. Caillou attacked Tamari very quickly. The opposite Tamari was told by Wu Jiaowu the essence of ninjutsu, and his heart suddenly panicked and his footsteps slowed down. But she had no choice but to give up the advantage just now, and quickly retreated to avoid getting close to Ghost Lantern Yu. She glanced at Wu Jiaowu from the corner of her eye, and there was a hint of shock on her face that had not been put away. How did he know all this? Just by looking at it. How is this possible? What kind of insight is this? And can he be distracted while playing with Gaara? Countless questions and shocks flooded into my mind. However, now she has no time to think. Because, Ghost Lantern Yu's attacks were continuous and dense, and she immediately entered the previous battle without any room to breathe. However, unfortunate things continued to happen. Wu Jiaowu managed to dodge Gaara's new big move and then ran to Bai and Konkuro. He crossed his arms and looked at Shiro and Konkuro. Be careful, it should have bayonets at the ends of its limbs, and it's the place where it's most likely to be a surprise, one-shot win. However, this installation method is too rough. A flash of shock crossed Konkuro's face. His ability to see through Temari's ninjutsu in an instant is outrageous enough. But how did he break through his own organs? Everyone's installation characteristics and way of thinking are very different. It stands to reason that he has no way of knowing. Under the bandage, Wu Jiaowu's eyes curved slightly. His loopholes are still relatively obvious, and every time he attacks, he will pay special attention to those places. As a puppet master, it's a big no-no if you can't control your emotions. At the same time, it rains even when the sand is thrown. There was an undisguised murderousness in Gaara's voice. Is this ignoring him? Good, very good. Intense anger welled up in his heart. His beast-like eyes stared at Wu Jiaowu, and the skin on his face began to crack like a crack. Yo, it's over, I seem to have lost my mind. Wu Jiaowu shook his short white hair helplessly. His pale blue eyes flickered slightly in confusion. He doesn't seem to have done anything. Not even an attack. Why do you want to go crazy so soon? This unscientific. At this time, the tailed beast must not come out, he still wants to keep a low profile. It would be troublesome if not. In other words, what should a child of this age like? Let him make amends. Wu Jiaowu held his chin and thought about it seriously. He looks about the same age as his younger brother, Sasuke, who is 2 years younger. What does Sasuke like? Sasuke, question mark, question mark, question mark. What? Got it. He seemed to have forgotten about his older brother. In other words, there is no danger now, right? Wu Jiaowu opened his 6 eyes and set his eyes on the distance. After a long time, he looked back. A flash of sharpness flashed in the pale blue eyes. It seems time is running out. No time to play around here. He picked up the black umbrella on the ground and dodged the dense round sand bombs one after another. Don't run away, fight me head on, Gaara said in a low voice. Wu Jiaowu's continued dodging made Gaara, who had taken a long time, gradually lose his patience. However, his speed was so fast that it was difficult to catch him for a while. Have you ever seen the head offered? Wu Jiaowu shook his head and said lightly. However, it should be over soon. You have to figure out a way to get him to give up blocking. He still wants to use this identity for a while, and try his best not to reveal it. Wu Jiaowu's peripheral vision swept slightly over the ground where the battle had just happened. Soon, he held the black umbrella and looked up at Gaara opposite. It's not impossible to fight head-on. Wu Jiaowu suddenly agreed to Gaara. He threw his shuriken as he rushed forward. The light and agile figure quickly allowed him to successfully avoid countless attacks made of sand. What do you want to do? Gaara's expression suddenly became alert. Judging from the judgment just now, his strength should not be underestimated. So why do you still use it when you know that ordinary shuriken attacks won't work for him? Could it be that the shuriken is just a cover or a distraction so that he can fight in close quarters? Close combat, his defense is absolute. No one can break through. Seeing Wu Jiaowu approaching, Gaara thought calmly. He crossed his hands and used ninjutsu to attack Wu Jiaowu, who was getting closer. The closer you get to Gaara, the less places you can dodge. However, Wu Jiaowu was surprisingly fast, and could always successfully evade Gaara's attack in the next second. He touched the bandage and sighed. The pale blue eyes were full of helplessness. Absolute defense is really hard to fix. I really want to strike. However, the consumption is almost the same. Then he will take a step closer. Wu Jiaowu condensed chakra between his two fingers and attacked forward without haste. The light of yin-yang gathered on Wu Jiaowu's fingertips didn't look special. So fast. Gaara looked at Wu Jiaowu, who kept attacking him with deep eyes. His attack speed is faster. Even faster than the speed of his sand shield. His defense is indeed absolute. But what about defense if you can't even match the attack speed of a human being? Under the deterrence of this attack speed, Gaara silently used the sand armor for defense. The speed is very fast, but the power is too poor. Gaara gave a cold evaluation. Hey, is that so? Wu Jiaowu asked with a blink of an eye. Well, it doesn't matter, as long as you can escape, that's enough. Ha, Gaara let out a sneer. It's too late to run away now. He has blocked all the routes with sand mixed with chakra. No one can get away with him. Especially Wu Jiaowu, who has entered his attack range. He is destined to perish here today. But he will remember his name. As an admiration for him being able to hold on to his hands for so long. Thinking of this, Gaara's eyes deepened. Sand-bound coffin. He read these 3 words coldly. Now all over the place is sand mixed with his chakra qualities. Now Wu Jiaowu has nowhere to escape, right? The sand everywhere successfully surrounded Wu Jiaowu, who was close at hand. Wu Jiaowu couldn't dodge and was directly surrounded by sand everywhere. Gaara panted slightly and looked at Wu Jiaowu, who couldn't move. You are strong, to be able to push me to this point. But that's the end of it. I will remember your name. Wu Jiaowu. Having said this, his voice became serious. *###. The corner of Wu Jiaowu's mouth in the sand pile evoked a bright smile. The eyes under the bandages are also slightly bent. He was still languid, not in the slightest terrified of his impending death. Gaara looked at Wu Jiaowu's indifferent face with a hint of surprise in his eyes. What happened? Isn't he afraid? Aren't you afraid? After a long time, he took back his bet and looked at Wu Jiaowu. Not bad, compared to the ninja I met before. But, Sand Waterfall Funeral, he slowly said these 4 words. Then he took out the black umbrella that Wu Jiaowu was holding before, ready to cover the next blood rain. Suddenly, boom, Wu Jiaowu in the sand pile did not turn into a rain of blood, but turned into a white smoke, which suddenly dissipated in front of Gaara's eyes. What? Is it an avatar? A flash of shock and vigilance flashed in Gaara's eyes. What about people? Could it be that? He immediately performed ninjutsu and decided to defend. But at this moment, everything is too late. When he relaxed just now, he had already taken off the sand armor that cost a lot of chakra. Brush. The cold wind didn't strike, but a coolness rushed into his heart instantly. People are behind. He could clearly perceive a hand hitting his head. What does he want to do? The other side. Wu Jiaowu gathered chakra on the tip of his right finger. This kind of chakra was shining brightly but didn't seem to have any violent aura. He quickly pressed the special chakra to Gaara's head and began to withdraw at a rapid pace. But when I left, I didn't forget to brush a handful of red hair. Ghost lamp, white, if you don't leave, it will be too late. Wu Jiaowu quickly withdrew from the clearing with a brisk voice. What? Hearing the voice, Ghost Lantern and Bai looked up and suddenly saw Wu Jiaowu's cheerful figure flying towards the distance. What did he do again? Ghost Lantern and Shiro's expressions changed, and they ignored Tamari and Konkuro's next attack. They followed Wu Jiaowu and quickly evacuated into the distance. They are very experienced in being pitted. The moment they saw Wu Jiaowu running fast, they realized that something was wrong. By the way, what did he do? Boom, boom, a violent thunder sounded suddenly, followed by a crackling electric current. Ghost Lantern and Shiro slowly turned their heads. Countless currents that are connected into thin lines form a dense grid that instantly shrouds the world. The electric current continued to bombard the place just now with strong destructive power. What did he just do while they were fighting? Ghost Lantern and Bai put away their weapons, thinking of the strange thinkers. At the same time, what is this? Kankuro looked at the scene in shock. Lightning style, why did it suddenly appear? He wanted to take 2 steps back, but found that he was paralyzed and unable to move. How so? His hands were also trembling slightly, unable to seal. It's lightning style, or using the characteristics of lightning style to set up a large minefield. Temari carefully observed everything around, and suddenly her eyes were fixed on Kankuro. Under his feet, to be precise. This is needle. The 1,000 needles used by Rain Village ninjas before. She suddenly thought of something and looked around again. By the way, these 1,000 needles and black umbrellas. I know what's going on, Temari said with a complicated expression. What's wrong? Kankuro asked. The Rain Village ninja who fought with us before, the weapons he used were a unique 1,000 needles and a black umbrella. It can easily accept and mix with chakra, so its lethality is so great. 427. But because of this quality of it, it's very transmissive. And now this mine net is probably made by using these things. Kankuro also looked at the ground after hearing this. Sure enough, as Temari said, the 1,000 needles on the ground were faintly flickering with a faint blue electric light. They seemed to be arranged very regularly, and they seemed to attract and echo each other, and a tightly woven grid is formed between the echoes. However, this is only the current on the ground, and has nothing to do with the power grid above. If only so, the power cannot be so powerful. Because the ground itself will block a lot of current, and the sand and gravel are the territory of Gaara. There could be no such grand lightning strike in his realm. He immediately thought of the black umbrella that Temari mentioned, and quickly checked the surroundings. Soon he found the location of the black umbrella. Each black umbrella is placed in a special spot, and they seem to be the center of the surrounding 1,000 needles, echoing each other. And the strong current started to spread from them as the origin. This is, Kankuro sighed. What an ingenious thought. Simple lightning style simply cannot create today's scene. But with him being such a whole, even the ordinary small lightning style suddenly became not simple. What's more terrifying is that this is just something he made on the spot. Temari's eyes were full of shock. As a tactical fighting ninja, she sees more depth than Kankuro. As a result, the touch she received was even more intense and shocking. This is simply genius. No, it's a genius. How on earth did he come up with this idea? And how did he arrange all this without leaving a trace under Gaara's attack? Gaara's earth style restrains all of this in itself. How come? Right, Gaara. How could Gaara let them go so easily? It doesn't fit his character at all. Did something happen? Thinking of this, Temari wanted to look back at Gaara behind him. The crunch. Temari twisted his neck hard but found it all in vain. She couldn't move at all. All paralyzed. Temari sighed secretly. The muscles were all paralyzed by the electric shock of this imperceptible current. Presumably the intensity of these currents was not very large at the beginning, so that they did not find it at all during the battle. But at a certain moment, the intensity suddenly increased, and the muscles that had been assimilated by this weak current could not move in an instant. Is this also on his mind? Really attentive. There was vigilance in Temari's eyes. On the other hand, Gaara's face at this time is also full of incredible. He originally thought that Wu Jiaowu attacked him on the head just now to kill him. Even if he is the tailed beast Jinchuriki, he is not sure if he will survive if his brain is hit in an instant. If it is a direct death, presumably even if he has absolute defense, it will not help. Defense also needs to keep up with speed. However, I didn't expect Wu Jiaowu to miss this great opportunity just by taking a photo. Why? Thinking of this, a trace of confusion flashed in his beast-like pupils. However, he quickly retracted his thoughts and turned his attention to the power grid that suddenly appeared in this world. When did he do this? I didn't even notice it when I fought with him before. Wasn't he fighting with all his might? Is there still time for some more secretive tricks? Do you underestimate yourself? Gaara's body suddenly splashed with murderous intent. He didn't try to do anything. His body was paralyzed earlier than Temari's, and it was more severe. He focused his eyes on the black umbrella in his hand. The things that were picked up at random before have now become the most deadly injuries. The thing that was originally intended to block Wu Jiaowu's blood rain ended up acting on him instead. The black umbrella continuously surged into his body with a strong current. These continuous currents made him unable to perform any ninjutsu for defense at all. And the sand shield, which can defend itself, is powerless at the moment. Because he has already been recruited. However, how exactly did he get the trick? Gaara carefully recalled what had just happened. The sand in which his chakra is mixed is inherently somewhat resistant to lightning. Unless it is a powerful advanced lightning style that can successfully penetrate his defenses, it is impossible to achieve this situation. And this is obviously not the energy caused by the advanced lightning style. There's no way he didn't notice the advanced lightning style. This is nothing more than a small ninjutsu, and the accumulation of accumulation leads to qualitative changes. It should be a simplified product that Wu Jiaowu secretly arranged during the battle. Gaara, like Temari, also quickly discovered the clues of the lightning network. He didn't dwell on this aspect and continued to think about Wu Jiaowu's actions. How on earth did he directly let the lightning paralyze his limbs in an instant? This is simply impossible, is it to say? Gaara immediately thought of the scene where Wu Jiaowu attacked him at close range, and the scene where he patted his head. He always felt that the shot just now was not simple, and there should be other meanings. Since the thunder and lightning can directly attack him, it must be what he did when he approached him. What is it? Is it? Gaara's eyes were shocked, and he suddenly thought of something. The chakra in his hand when he attacked him just now seemed very strange. At that time, I also felt that Wu Jiaowu's chakra energy was too weak and its destructive power was too small. But now that I think about it, it should not be a simple chakra. It seems to be mixed with other substances. He should have mixed these substances into his sand, making the sand's defense weaker. The time he hit him on the head should also be to mix in this special substance. Therefore, at that time, he was instantly attacked by lightning. Gaara thought for a while and quickly came to a conclusion. His eyes were full of shock. Is it just that? Obviously he didn't use too many special ninjutsu in the whole process, but he easily got rid of and even counterattacked himself. He was easily brought into the battle rhythm that belonged to him. What kind of ability is this? So strong. This is the man he should kill. Someone who can be his opponent. Gaara's whole body was filled with fighting intent, and there seemed to be flames burning in his eyes. Is Wu Jiaowu, I remember you. The sand fed by your flesh and blood must be the most powerful. An inorganic, pure murderous aura also appeared on Gaara. This murderous aura shocked Kankuro and Temari on the side. What, Gaara, what's wrong with him? Kankuro asked suspiciously. There was a little worry and confusion on his face. I hope nothing goes wrong. Temari sighed, a little worry in his eyes. They also have other purposes here, and it is not suitable for too high profile. Hope Gaara is all right there. After a long time, the current gradually weakened. Temari and Kankuro also gradually regained their strength. It's fortunate that no one passed by here on the way, otherwise it would be a big problem. Kankuro said with a sigh of relief and a smile. Otherwise, not only will the scrolls be snatched away, but several of them will also have their lives in fear. Should not, this kind of attack is relative. Not only will we be attacked inside, but people outside will be knocked down by lightning if they try to get close. Temari shook his head and said. I see. Kankuro nodded slightly. It doesn't matter, it's fine this time. Speaking of which, the bandaged man's strength is so good. Not only was the speed so fast to be able to stand with Gaara for so long, but... He paused, not knowing what language to describe for a while. In the end, he just sighed softly. That's too clever. Indeed. Temari nodded in agreement. Have you ever seen someone so smart? He had no idea what he was going to do until he shot. In the end, it can only be speculated from the results. Quite excellent, Canon Gaara. Thinking of this, Temari's expression suddenly changed. Why didn't you hear Gaara speak? Kankuro also began to frown upon hearing this. Correct. Gaara. They all looked back at Gaara not far away. What caught my eye was Gaara, who was still imprisoned with a black umbrella in his hand. This is. Temari pulled out the fan behind him and waved it vigorously. The black umbrella was immediately blown away from Gaara by this wave. The current rolling around Gaara disappeared instantly. Gaara, are you all right? Temari asked, concerned. Kankuro also looked over. Who is that mysterious black-robed man? Didn't expect him to be able to calculate Gaara to such a degree. It's amazing. Gaara was slightly taken aback when she heard this. It's all right. He put the sand back into the gourd and looked up at them. Let's go. Temari and Kankuro fell silent at the same time. I was too nervous to notice Gaara's appearance just now. But now, what's wrong? Gaara noticed something was wrong with their expressions. A hint of doubt flashed across his indifferent face. If something is wrong, it's nothing, it's just. Temari fell silent as he watched Gaara with frizzy red hair. How would she describe it well? Gaara, your new hairstyle is not bad. Ha 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 ha. Kankuro didn't laugh as delicately and directly as Temari. This kind of hairstyle that goes straight into the sky is quite suitable for Gaara now. It's too funny. Question mark question mark question mark. Gaara looked at their performance for a moment with a confused expression. He gave up the plan to continue asking, and directly stretched out his hand to hold his right eye. Then used ninjutsu to turn the sand into an eye. The eyes made of sand turned, and finally aimed at Gaara at this time. Through the eyes made of sand, Gaara clearly saw what he looked like now. A fringed red hair resembling Uchiha Sasuke suddenly appeared in front of him. Looking at her new hairstyle, Gaara also fell silent. I'm going to crush you. The voice was eerie and terrifying. The murderous aura that Gaara had disappeared before came back to him. The suffocating aura that shot straight into the sky made the radius of 100 miles quiet. It is simply better than before. Gaara smashed the eye just now. His eyes turned to the distance. We must kill him next time we meet. He must have done it on purpose. The other side. At this time, Wu Jiaowu had already forgotten the masterpiece of killing Mad just now. He walked through the trees with ghost lights and white. Let's act separately, it's quicker. Wu Jiaowu said to the other two while holding his chin. The short white hair swayed in the air, and the black robe was blown non-stop. Ghost Lantern and Bai looked at each other without any objection and quickly went to another road. At the same time, Orochimaru looked meaningfully at Sasuke opposite. You want our Book of the Earth? Is this Uchiha Sasuke? Uchiha's last bloodline. As the younger brother of the two people he wants most, Uchiha Sasuke, what wonderful performance will he have? Really looking forward to it. He stretched out his tongue, and then swallowed the Book of Earth into his throat like a python. The shadow hit the half of her face where she lowered her head. Gives people an indescribable eerie serenity. Then let's start. Real scramble. Fight for life. Uchiha Sasuke, let me see your strength. He pressed his fingers to the whites of his eyes and looked up at Uchiha Sasuke, who was facing him. Sasuke and little Sakura on the opposite side were overwhelmed by this amazing murderous aura. Is it illusion? Sasuke's cold sweat dripped down his cheeks. No, it's just pure murderous intent. What is this? Just looking into his eyes and thinking of death. What the hell is this guy? Sasuke retracted his thoughts and turned to look at little Sakura, who had not spoken for a long time. He suddenly found little Sakura shaking uncontrollably. Little Sakura, no, here we can only run away first. If we don't do this, all we have to do is die. Can't move anymore. Orochimaru's eyes flashed with disappointment. This level is still far from their elder brother. The opposite Sasuke looked at his immobile body unwillingly. Move fast. Can't be defeated here. He reached out his right hand to touch the shuriken tied to his leg, and held it with difficulty, trembling all over. Then he stood up with all his strength. Seeing this scene, Orochimaru showed a satisfied smile. It still looks like it. Let me try to test you. Then what are you going to do? Orochimaru picked up Kuwu and walked towards Sasuke in a hurry. While walking, he said slowly. Don't worry, it will be over in an instant. It won't even give you a miserable time. I wanted you to let me play more. It's a pity. The cold light of kunai was reflected in Sasuke's eyes, and his expression became more and more nervous. It can't be like this, you have to think about it quickly. In the end, he raised the kuwu in his hand and stabbed the leg first. Blood spattered, and the pain made him wake up instantly. He picked up little Sakura and left the place instantly. Pain is used to dispel fear. Orochimaru stuck out his tongue and said meaningfully. Sure enough, it's not an ordinary prey. The Uchiha family is really interesting. Not bad to come up with such an idea. Interesting. As soon as Sasuke escaped to the other side, he encountered a strange giant python. Do not come. Looking at the familiar eyes of the big snake and python, he suddenly projected countless shuriken at the python. The python fell to the ground. Is it over? Sasuke stared at the giant python. Suddenly, he had a look of astonishment on his face. What will be? On the opposite side of the giant python, a figure emerged from the snake's head. He looked up at Uchiha Sasuke, and the familiar face came back into Sasuke's eyes. It was the strange long-haired girl just now. Orochimaru, covered in mucus, raised his head, his eyes deep and strange. He said in a hoarse voice. The so-called prey cannot be distracted even for a moment. It's about keeping high tension at all times and running away, especially in the presence of predators. Now this is not possible. Shouldn't this be all your strength? Uchiha Sasuke. He coiled up like a snake around the tree and attacked Uchiha Sasuke on the opposite side. Murderous aura spread over him and formed a pressing aura. Sasuke stared at the strange ninja attacking in front of him. Who is he? How can it be so strong? Right now, swipe. Countless shuriken pierced the sky with cold light. Successfully blocked the attack of the big snake at this time. Who is this? Following the trajectory of the shuriken, Orochimaru slowly looked up. Sasuke and little Sakura also followed the direction. It was him. The boy in black robe and white hair with bandages all over his arms suddenly came into their eyes. Next to him stood Naruto, who was a little embarrassed. How did Naruto appear with the second brother? Sasuke thought suspiciously. But now the situation is unclear, and he has no chance to talk. At the same time, the opposite Wu Jiaowu said expressionlessly. So disgusting. Unexpectedly, after many years, Orochimaru's taste has not changed, and there is still no lower limit. Wu Jiaowu looked away from the slippery mucus and the giant python. He looked up at Orochimaru not far away. Immediately, he deeply regretted his curiosity. Why did he have to take a second look? Under the unfamiliar and familiar face is a long snake's tail. Orochimaru was lying on the tree with a strange expression, and his snake-like pupils were staring at him. Is this some sort of hell theater? Wu Jiaowu touched the bandage on his eyes, and the corner of his mouth twitched. And how did he accept this image of a human snake tail calmly? The death shape of the purple bow was also successfully adopted. Well, the difference from the original is too big. It's you. Orochimaru quickly recalled the previous memory, and he smiled with a strong tone. He. Nice to meet you. Since he is so unlucky, just give him a ride. An icy, biting murderous aura poured out from Orochimaru's body instantly. This time was different from the previous exams. It didn't have any cover or restraint, and its murderous aura instantly approached Wu Jiaowu in front of him. What an amazing murderousness. It was even more frightening than when I tried it just now. And the murderous aura is more intense. Sasuke and little Sakura thought silently by the side. Naruto's blue eyes flashed with surprise. The azure blue eyes also began to become vigilant. This murder is so powerful, even scarier than the one in the exam room. At this moment, Wu Jiaowu's expression did not change. He shook his head secretly. Orochimaru would be wrong if he tried to intimidate him with murderous intent. This move has always been used by him. Not fresh at all. This type of temptation makes no sense to him. Wu Jiaowu stood lazily beside the tree with his arms crossed, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, revealing a bright smile. Is that so? He asked very sincerely. How happy are you? Orochimaru suddenly stopped talking. Why does this sudden heartbreak seem familiar? A hint of doubt flashed in Orochimaru's eyes. How strange. However, I didn't expect this ninja to be able to face his murderous aura without changing his face. Some were beyond his expectations. Very good, if his strength is satisfactory at that time, we can consider keeping him alive. Orochimaru quickly made a decision. At the same time, Sasuke next to him also felt speechless for the second brother's miraculous brain circuit. Is this the one to be concerned about now? The person on the other side is quite dangerous. Please, get serious, second brother. However, second brother, can he beat that weird ninja on the opposite side? Thinking of the second brother's unreliable image, Sasuke suddenly felt a little flustered. He wouldn't come here with Naruto to give away. He suppressed his confusion and prepared to take Naruto and the others away later. The big deal is that the Book of Heaven will be gone, so they may have a chance. Little Sakura, who was also beside him, was also shocked by Wu Jiaowu's sudden cold humor. Are you kidding me at this time? However, he was so powerful that he didn't even change his face in the face of that weird ninja. It doesn't seem to be affected by the murderous aura at all. How did you do it? Or they are too weak to be easily influenced by others. Naruto was not surprised by this. After being rescued by Mr. Bandage from the mouth of the snake just now, he felt that Mr. Bandage was very powerful. In addition, he himself is not very clear about the strength of the two, so he did not feel how. Wu Jiaowu folded his arms and raised a bright smile at the corner of his mouth. Short white hair swayed in the air. Tisk, auntie. Are you bullying the weak? I didn't expect you to have such a hobby. He stood sloppily and sneered mercilessly. It's not okay to come here to show off while the adults in the family are not there. That's just too bad. Even Shisui, who is so scornful, can express an opinion on this. Wu Jiaowu's blue eyes suddenly sharpened under the bandages. Yes, no matter how you look at it, you are bullying the weak. Naruto also said very cooperatively. Since we are here, we will teach you a good lesson. This strange ninja even bullied people while he was away, so he must teach him a lesson. Naruto's blue eyes seemed to have flames burning in them. Following Wu Jiaowu and Naruto's words, Orochimaru's face also became ugly. Let's solve the trouble as soon as possible. This really affects his data collection. The murderous aura on Orochimaru suddenly thickened, and his eyes became colder. Sasuke on the other side was keenly aware of his change. His Sharingan watched Orochimaru's every move cautiously. How to do it? Even if the second brother and Naruto join the battle together, the situation may not be reversed. If this goes on, all four will be killed. How to do? Sasuke's eyes kept changing, and finally he made a decision. There is only this way. Wait a minute. Sasuke broke their gaze. He reached for the scroll from his bag. For the scroll, here it is. Please, take this and go. A hint of surprise flashed in Wu Jiaowu's eyes. Didn't expect Sasuke to give up the mission. Although he also felt that the task was not important. But Sasuke can make such a decision, presumably Orochimaru frightened him. Looks like it's time to repay the Orochimaru guy. Wu Jiaowu's blue eyes flickered slightly. He turned to Sasuke and said, Hey, kid, you can't take chances with your enemies. Even giving him the scroll is useless. He looks like the kind of guy who eats and takes without caring about others. And what magical image am I in your heart? You don't believe me at all. It really makes my brother sad. Sasuke, what are you trying to do? Naruto exclaimed. Give the scroll to the enemy, will the enemy let you go? Asshole, why is this guy doing this? Sasuke's face darkened for a moment when he heard this, and he turned to look at Naruto beside him. Shut up, who is he doing this for? If it wasn't to save them, would I need this for myself? There really is no other way. Orochimaru's mouth twitched slightly when he heard his words. He looked at Sasuke not far away and said in a deep tone. It turns out that it's very thoughtful. What prey can expect from a predator? Did Zhao only hand over other prey and let the predator let him go? Orochimaru looked at Uchiha Sasuke with interest. Some ideas. However, he is not here for the scroll. Just wanted to see what the last Uchiha looked like. Is it suitable for his new container? Sasuke hesitated with the Book of Heaven, then threw it at Orochimaru. Take it. I hope that after accepting it, I won't have to trouble them again. Wu Jiaowu shook his head and looked at the scene in front of him. Orochimaru is a liar who bullies children all day long. Even if Sasuke gave him the scrolls, he wouldn't let them go. He didn't come here for this in the first place. He waved his shuriken and successfully intercepted the Book of Heaven halfway. Meanwhile, Naruto shouted loudly. You're a fake Sasuke, right? Definitely not the Sasuke I know. I don't know how strong this guy is. You can let us go by handing over the scroll. How can there be such a guarantee? It's you who is so scared that you can't understand the situation. Chapter 71. Facing the second brother's obstruction and Naruto's questioning, Sasuke was stunned for a moment. He turned his face slightly, pretending not to care. A little unwillingness flashed across the slightly baby-fat cheeks. Not at all. They were not the opponents of the ninja opposite. It is better to give up the Book of Heaven and go to other places to find scrolls, which can also complete the task. How could he and his second brother still have family revenge to die here? Sasuke clenched his fists, his eyes gradually deepening. Although the success rate of his plan just now is indeed very low, the other party will most likely not let them go. But at least try it out, or all four of them will die here. Wu Jiaowu folded his hands and looked at the silent Sasuke with a smile. Still a kid. Relax. Wu Jiaowu jumped to Sasuke's side. Thinking too much will turn into a bad old man like Itachi. He stretched out his right hand and rubbed Sasuke's head hard. Pale blue eyes slightly crescent-shaped. Hey, let it go. Sasuke turned his head away silently. His eyes were still fixed on Orochimaru's movements. Brother, what are you thinking? Now is not the time to be kidding. Don't you worry about not being able to get revenge. And why are you able to say that person's name so flatly? Wu Jiaowu changed his previous casualness and said quite seriously. If you're so easily bound by the past, you won't be able to keep going. Hearing this, Sasuke was slightly taken aback. What? Brother, is he talking about me? Because I was trapped in the memories of the past, but did not have the courage to fight hard. Is that so? He recalled what had happened during this time. His own strength has indeed progressed a lot slower. Sasuke finally sighed silently and said slowly and firmly. Well, I see. In order to defeat my brother, I have to live. I always thought so. But it seems that the real fool is me. How can a guy who can't risk his life here win that guy, Uchiha Itachi? Thinking of this, his eyes gradually became sharp. Orochimaru on the opposite side laughed strangely when he saw this scene. Nice look. It seems that the white-haired ninja just now is someone you care about. All of a sudden, the blood vessels began to churn. Then start with him. Without strength, it cannot protect the surrounding partners. Let me teach you this. His eyes were fixed on Wu Jiaowu next to him. Everyone, your answer is correct. A scroll or something, just kill you and take it back. In an instant, a desperate, terrifying, murderous aura spread over him. His pupils also gradually glowed with a snake-like cold light. The opposite Wu Jiaowu was very keen to notice the change in Orochimaru's eyes. Is this looking at me? Is it coveting my bandages? He puffed out his cheeks and stroked his forehead reluctantly. Shouldn't Mercury be retrograde today? How did this guy end up staring at him again? Unlucky. It seems that it is best not to drop your vest, otherwise things will be very unpleasant. He tightened the bandage on his arm slightly. Snake caves and suits don't fit his aesthetic at all, and he refuses to join this strange organization. He let out a long sigh, but his pale blue eyes were calm. At the same time, these small movements of Wu Jiaowu clearly fell into Sasuke's eyes. Strangeness. Brother, what happened to him? It was as if he had never seen him like this before. Could it be that the ninja on the opposite side is more tricky than he imagined? So the second brother is so unconfident. Thinking of this, Sasuke looked at Orochimaru with increased vigilance. He must get out of here alive with his second brother, Naruto, and little Sakura. For a moment, he felt an unusually heavy responsibility on his shoulders. Orochimaru slammed towards Wu Jiaowu at a speed invisible to the naked eye, and at the same time, many lion majesty appeared from his cuff. Wu Jiaowu jumped to dodge Orochimaru's attack, and swung countless kunai to kill lion majesty. Orochimaru looked at Wu Jiaowu's agile skills and gradually raised the corners of his mouth. Not bad. Being able to face his murderous aura, evade his attack accurately, and successfully kill the snake group at this moment is really good for ordinary people. However, this alone is not enough. At this moment, Orochimaru's face was suddenly distorted to the point of exaggeration, and the skin also fell off. He stretched his arms into whips and continued to attack Wu Jiaowu, while his long tongue also curled up a kunai. What is this, the Phantom of the Opera? Wu Jiaowu twitched slightly at the corner of Orochimaru's mouth, whose face changed instantly. This kind of fight also comes with a discount on horror movies, can he not? Or is this a new attack method, a mental attack method? Wu Jiaowu thought hard while dodging quickly. If so, does he want to study? Uchiha Shisui, who was far away, still didn't know the terrifying thoughts that suddenly popped into Wu Jiaowu's mind, and he still handled the documents dutifully. Little devil, you're not bad. Orochimaru looked at Wu Jiaowu, who kept dodging his attacks with interest. His eyes became brighter and brighter, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. At his current age, it is really good to be able to do this, and he can be regarded as a genius among ordinary people. But the world is cruel to ordinary people. Let yourself end this miserable world for him. He will become Uchiha Sasuke's greatest nourishment, and the pair of Sharingans will be even more powerful. Orochimaru's eyes suddenly had a biting murderous look. At this moment, Uchiha Sasuke on the side was also keeping an eye on them. The dazzling moves made it difficult for him to see clearly for a while. This speed, so fast. He watched their movements closely, his eyes gradually turning red. Suddenly, Sharingan opens. Saw. Everything became clear. Meanwhile, outside the exam room. The meatballs are the perfect match for Anko soup. Mitarashi Anko sat on the roof happily enjoying the meal. Then, eat this, and I will go to the tower and wait for the person who has broken through the level. Almost someone has completed the survival project in the wild. She rolled her eyes and smiled and projected the bamboo sticks onto the tree. The Konoha mark is complete. A wooden leaf mark composed of bamboo sticks suddenly appeared at the root of the big tree. At this moment, a ninja suddenly appeared in front of her accompanied by white smoke. It's bad, Lord Anko, he said anxiously. Huh, is there something wrong with the sudden running? Anko asked in a relaxed tone. 3 corpses were found, the ninja said in a heavy tone. Huh, Anko's eyes moved slightly, and it's a little strange, please come quickly. Ninja sweated slightly on his forehead. Anko pondered for a while when he heard the words and put one finger on his chin. Strangeness. They soon arrived at the crime scene. The ninja with a white bandage on his face said quietly with his arms folded. Judging from the things he brought with him and his identification, it was the ninja of Kusakin who had officially landed to take the Chunin selection test. As you can see, hearing this, Mitarashi Anko looked at the 3 corpses on the ground. This is. Her pupils suddenly shrank into needles. No face. The ninja next to him also sighed. Yeah, as if it was melted away by something, the whole face is flat. Anko looked at the corpse on the ground, and unconsciously stroked the curse mark on his neck with his right hand. No doubt, this ninja belongs to that guy. Why is that guy here for the test? She put away her memories and looked at the ninja next to her. Show me the photos of Kusakin's 3 ninjas, is it on the application form? The ninja next to him immediately handed the application to Mitarashi Anko. Anko received the application and checked it carefully. Isn't this the long-haired girl in the exam room before? Could she have been replaced by Orochimaru at that time? She turned around and said quickly to the ninjas beside her. This is a serious matter, you should tell Lord Hokage about it. Apply immediately for 2 Anbu troops to come to the Forest of the Dead. I'm going after these guys now, understand? Wu Jiaowu and Orochimaru continued to fight. He knew that Orochimaru was not serious at all at this time, but was just playing a game of hunters. However, his patience was running out. Wu Jiaowu's eyes sank slightly, and his white hair fluttered in the wind. We have to figure out a way, we can't stay in such a stalemate. Otherwise, your identity may be exposed. What should I do? Orochimaru won't give up until Sasuke is available. And he couldn't give away his cheap brother. How can I successfully drive him away? It can not only successfully drive out Orochimaru, but also hide its identity. There is, although simple, it can barely make do. He remembered that Orochimaru cast Sasuke's spell at this time in the original book. When he defeated Sasuke and gave him the spell, it must have been his weakest moment of vigilance. As long as he seizes this opportunity, he can trap it without revealing his identity. As for how to make him retreat despite difficulties, Wu Jiaowu also had a plan in mind. So do it. Wu Jia's 443, Wu pondered for a while, and soon had the answer. After thinking of a plan, he did not continue to dodge. He attacked Orochimaru quickly. Countless shuriken attacked Orochimaru in an instant. Bang bang bang. Orochimaru easily dodged the extremely fast shuriken. He stared at Wu Jiaowu who launched the attack, a strange light flashed in his eyes. Is this starting to get serious? There was a little playfulness in the voice. This guy's aura started to change. Not bad. He was very satisfied in this state. Although there is no innate talent, it is not easy to be able to do this now. If he wasn't someone Uchiha cared about, maybe he would consider letting him go. What a pity. Orochimaru put away his thoughts and looked at Wu Jiaowu on the opposite side. The opposite Wu Jiaowu did not speak, and maintained his original attack speed. It's almost time. He pondered for a moment, and his blue eyes were calm. Let me show you my stunt. Wu Jiaowu said in a relaxed tone. Stunt? Orochimaru, who was still fighting, was taken aback for a moment. Really a kid. No combat experience at all. Now that you are ready to enlarge the move, you should be sure to hit it with a silent blow. Just say it directly, how can it be successful? An inexplicable emotion flashed in Orochimaru's eyes. Either way, play with you. Crackling. As soon as Wu Jiaowu's voice fell, there was a violent electric current on the ground. The kunai that had fallen to the ground was instantly woven into a grid. Orochimaru was tightly surrounded in the middle. This attack is similar to the one used when fighting Gaara. But it is more concise than that, just weaving a lightning-style grid on the ground. Fire style. Wu Jiaowu instantly formed fire style to attack Orochimaru. Suddenly, smoke and flames enveloped the place. Wu Jiaowu looked at Orochimaru opposite, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. He knew that Orochimaru at this time was just pretending to be trapped. Orochimaru probably just wanted to see what he could do. However, it doesn't matter. I didn't want to keep Orochimaru trapped. Now his vigilance is still very high, this is not the best time to start. Wu Jiaowu looked up at the diffuse smoke and fire, his eyes curved. All he wanted was this smoke and Orochimaru's brief absence. Wu Jiaowu silently used the clone technique, leaving the clone in place. Meanwhile, the real him goes to Sasuke, Naruto, and little Sakura. Hi. Wu Jiaowu blinked and suddenly appeared in front of them. Little Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke suddenly looked confused. This is. Before he reacts, let's talk about our plan. If I'm not mistaken, this person should not be a candidate here. His strength is very unusual, but he pays great attention to the size of his ninjutsu during the battle. So presumably he didn't want to be noticed either. My plan is very simple, you stick these detonators on these positions first. When I trapped him later, it started quickly and caused a violent movement. Calculate the time, the examiners outside should also come in. At that time he will definitely not be entangled with us, understand? Wu Jiaowu simply informed them of his plan without any nonsense. After all, children also need to get exercise. If you don't arrange something for them, it will be bad to spoil the plan later. Of course, Wu Jiaowu would never admit that he just didn't want to work alone. How could he be such an immature adult? Absolutely impossible. Little Sakura and the others nodded in unison, agreeing with Wu Jiaowu's plan. After arranging the task, Wu Jiaowu returned to the battlefield. Boom! The smoke and flames dissipated at the same time, and countless kunai also flew away in an instant. The previously tightly wound electrical grid is also gone. Orochimaru walked out of it with ease. Ha ha ha, he smiled lowly, his voice sounding like admiration and disappointment. Not bad, kid. Unfortunately, the talent is not enough, and the power of fire style is not enough. He raised his head to look at Wu Jiaowu, who was facing him, his eyes filled with bloodshot eyes. It's genius enough to come up with this. It's a pity that the power of fire style is not a star. After all, he was just an ordinary person. This is the limit that ordinary people can achieve. So, because of that, he wanted to get Uchiha's body even more. Orochimaru picked up the kunai in his hand and gradually attacked Wu Jiaowu. He was surprised to find that Wu Jiaowu, who was full of confidence just now, froze in place, forgetting to dodge. Is it because the most confident attack lost its effect and mentally collapsed? Is it just that? Disappointment flashed in Orochimaru's eyes. He suddenly felt bored. Humans are so fragile. Just doing that can bring a mental breakdown. He raised the kunai in his hand and prepared to end the boy's life immediately. Bang! A crisp voice suddenly sounded. A sharply angled shuriken instantly knocked the kunai away in his hand. In an instant, a figure took Wu Jiaowu, who was standing still. This is. Orochimaru turned slightly to look at the figure not far away. This is Uchiha Sasuke. Hey, your opponent is me. Wu Jiaowu in the shape of Sasuke slowly put down his avatar and looked up at Orochimaru opposite. Now he is not Wu Jiaowu. He is now Uchiha Sasuke. Wu Jiaowu, who used transformation technique, held his chin and thought seriously. This identity must have caught Orochimaru by surprise. Wu Jiaowu's eyes narrowed slightly. It's not bad, Orochimaru said, staring at the Sasuke version of Wu Jiaowu. Let me slowly confirm your strength. Wu Jiaowu shook the hair from his forehead and ignored Orochimaru's words. He hurriedly attacked Orochimaru, firing countless shuriken at the same time. Orochimaru avoids them all with ease. His subsequent attacks were also blocked by Orochimaru one by one. Orochimaru looked at the opposite Wu Jiaowu with a satisfied smile on his face. He can predict my actions and attack me exactly. It should be Sharingan that allows him to see his attack trajectory. He, so young to be able to use Sharingan so proficiently. As expected of the person who inherited the name of Uchiha. I really want to get you. You really are brothers. Equally excellent. Looking at the boy in front of him, Orochimaru couldn't help but think of Uchiha Satoru who didn't get his hands. On the other side, the former Uchiha Wu, and the current Wu Jiaowu, inexplicably felt a coolness behind him. Is someone thinking of me? Why does it feel like a chill is coming? You look so pervert, Wu Jiaowu said to Orochimaru in disgust. The middle-aged uncle who sells Amway at Konoha's door also looks like a human abductor. The voice fell. Orochimaru fell silent for a while. Why did he feel that the tone of the young man in front of him was inexplicably familiar? Seems like I've heard it somewhere. Have they met before? Orochimaru thought strangely. Who are you? Wu Jiaowu asked in confusion. There was a suspicious look on his baby fat face. The three Naruto who were hiding not far away also saw this scene. I didn't expect Mr. Bandage to imitate Sasuke like that. Naruto smiled heartily. Shut up, it's too loud. Little Sakura on the side quickly covered his mouth. You want everyone to hear you. Do you understand? They are hiding now and can't move too much. Besides, where does it look like? Little Sakura couldn't help but complained when she looked at the broken version of Wu Jiaowu. She had never seen Sasuke so expressive before. What a nightmare. This wicked smile made her unable to resist poking her eyes out. It's really disgusting. The corner of Sasuke's mouth on the other side also twitched slightly. Sasuke closed his eyes silently. At the same time, Orochimaru on this side found nothing. He was not familiar with Uchiha Sasuke's character. Orochimaru took the scroll and took 2 steps forward. My name is Orochimaru. If you still want to see me, you should try your best to make your mark in this exam. As soon as the words fell, the scroll suddenly burned out in his palm. Wu Jiaowu raised his chin and said lightly, What the hell are you talking about? I don't want to see you a second time. The time should be almost right now. Orochimaru probably couldn't hold it anymore. Madara's eyes seemed to darken for a moment under the sunlight. That's not good, Orochimaru said in a cold tone. He has already missed 2 Uchihas and must not miss a third. Forget it, it's better to mark it first. And this spell can also bring him power, he will definitely need it. The corners of his mouth twitched strangely, and he reached out and quickly made a seal. In an instant, Orochimaru's neck instantly elongated and circled like a snake, attacking the opposite Sasuke version of Wu Jiaowu. Seeing this scene, the corners of Wu Jiaowu's mouth, which had been raised slightly because the plan was successful, suddenly retracted. Ah, what kind of terrifying flying snake head is this? So ugly, too challenging the bottom line of human beings. Why let him see this scene? Is this really good? Wu Jiaowu doesn't need to use his poor acting skills to interpret surprise in an instant. Acting in full character. Don't come here. Orochimaru's snake head instantly attacked Wu Jiaowu's neck and bit hard. Wrong. What does it feel like? As soon as he took his mouth, Orochimaru felt something was wrong. A strong, sour, rotting orange flavor instantly appeared in his mouth. Vomit. Horrible. What does it taste like? Orochimaru's face suddenly twisted strangely. He immediately retracted his head and looked forward. The previous Sasuke disappeared in an instant, replaced by orange juice rotting in place. Is this a clone? Orochimaru whispered in a less firm tone. No, is it the orange clone? Wu Jiaowu slowly walked out of the shadows. He painstakingly developed secret recipes for many years, carefully selected the most suitable taste and texture, completely imitating the texture of rotten oranges, combined with ninjutsu to make orange clones. Orange clone. Completely his own work. Shisui, who was working hard in the distance, sneezed. For some reason, he suddenly remembered the orange doppelganger that Wu Jiaowu made in his early years. He skipped a whole month of work just to watch the oranges go rotten every day. Also known as working. In the end, he successfully created the orange clone that everyone shouted and beat, and successfully destroyed the image of orange in everyone's mind. At the same time, Wu Jiaowu instantly activated his ninjutsu, and the previous kunai on the ground instantly rearranged and combined. A lightning-style grid is formed that is similar to the previous attack but with very different power. In an instant, Orochimaru, who hadn't reacted yet, was imprisoned by the familiar thunder net again. But this time, he didn't break free so easily. Finally got you. The corners of Wu Jiaowu's mouth twitched slightly, and without giving Orochimaru a chance to react, he immediately performed fire-style ninjutsu. Fire-style. The intense fire instantly dyed the world completely red. This huge firework is even more dazzling than the sunset at this time. At this moment, Sasuke, who had been hiding for a long time, also started to act. Bang bang bang. Boom. Countless detonating talismans exploded violently along the prescribed route. The loud bombardment, the dazzling fire, and the thick smoke immediately attracted the attention of the candidates around. Mitarashi Anko, who was searching for Orochimaru's figure, was also attracted by the movement on this side. What happened over there? Without any hesitation, she was ready to set off to take a look there. Maybe the person she was looking for was there. After detonating the detonator, Sasuke and the others also came out. Success. Sasuke asked Wu Jiaowu hesitantly. Naruto and little Sakura also looked back at the boy who proposed the plan, Wu Jiaowu. Although they were shocked by Wu Jiaowu's bold idea when they heard the plan. But at that time, I wasn't sure whether it would really succeed, so I didn't continue to think deeply. But after seeing this heroic scene with their own eyes, they were really speechless. This is way too much. Totally beyond their expectations. I didn't expect to be able to do this with just ordinary ninjutsu. This is simply unthinkable. Genius general idea, bold and cautious attempt. Little Sakura gave her evaluation. I didn't expect that a strategic ninja could achieve this level seriously. Let's go, I'm afraid it won't hold him for long. Wu Jiaowu said calmly. Can't sleep, isn't he dead? Naruto exclaimed. With such a powerful attack, is he not dead yet? Impossible. This level is definitely not something that ordinary people can bear. The others also looked at Wu Jiaowu with a puzzled look. Wu Jiaowu was not carried away by the victory in front of him. He shook his head and analyzed it very rationally. It's impossible to die, at most there will be some injuries. This situation wasn't designed to kill him, it's hard to kill him. I just want to use the power grid to hold him back, so that he can't immediately follow our tracks. And explosions and firelights are even simpler, all for eye-catching and attracting other people's attention. Orochimaru went to Konoha for another purpose, not just for Sasuke. So for his greatest purpose, he will definitely not continue to pester them. Wu Jiaowu thought about all this very calmly. The lazy temperament also disappeared from him in an instant. Sasuke on the side was keenly aware of his current state. Looking at Wu Yingwu, who was rarely serious, Sasuke's face flashed a hint of shock. Brother, he, completely different from what it used to be. So strong, even if you don't have great ninjutsu you can still do it. Really great, and it looks so reliable. Sasuke's mouth curved slightly. After Wu Jiaowu finished speaking, he quickly evacuated the area. Sasuke and the three of them quickly followed Wu Jiaowu's pace and drove away. In an instant, the world suddenly became quiet. Only the sound of silent lightning sparks and Orochimaru's low laughter. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha, interesting, interesting. It's really fun. I didn't expect that I would fall on the head of such a common ninjutsu. It fell into the hands of a half-old child. Interesting tight. It's as good as the Uchiha Satoru back then. Orochimaru is imprisoned in a dense grid of lightning. The snake-like eyes instantly shrank to the size of pinpoints in excitement. There was a terrifying murderous aura all over him. His meticulous brain quickly figured out what happened. Although there are reasons why he is too conceited, most of it comes from this genius and bold plan. It turns out that ordinary ninjas can do this too. This makes me appreciate you more and more. An unknown ninja boy. Compared with the innate talent of blood, this kind of wisdom that reaches the ultimate, ordinary and extraordinary, is more appreciated by the ninja in his scientific research direction. We will meet again. Orochimaru's icy snake eyes stared straight into the distance. At the same time, Mitarashi Anko also came to the vicinity following the firelight and the explosion. It's very close to me, she whispered. The closer she got, the more familiar Orochimaru felt. It seems this place is right. Where is it? Her eyes were fixed on the dense forest shining with lightning in front of her. She looked up through the dense forest, and suddenly she looked stunned. This is not Orochimaru. How did he become what he is now? Mitarashi Anko looked at Orochimaru inside the lightning grid with a surprised expression. Orochimaru on the opposite side keenly heard footsteps. He tilted his head weirdly and looked at the visitor. Long time no see, Anko. His voice was flat, although in the thunder and lightning, Orochimaru's whole person's posture is very relaxed. There was no sign of embarrassment and pain on his face. Thunderbolt seems to be just an appetizer for him. That's right, this attack can't hurt him at all. He is simply savoring the pleasure of encountering a new collection. Correct. The battle with the white-haired boy just now still reverberated in his mind. Humans are so funny sometimes. Always works miracles. Who is he? How dare you come up with such a genius idea? Really unexpected. It seemed that the white-haired boy in bandages knew Uchiha Sasuke. Friend, such a coincidence. He also seems to have the potential to become a container. Orochimaru thought about it with interest, and the golden snake pupil became colder and colder. Murderous aura also began to spread around him. Orochimaru, Mitarashi Anko said coldly. Her pupils narrowed and she stared at Orochimaru opposite. Why are you here? What is his purpose? Why come to Konoha? Me, how can it be like this now? The Orochimaru in front of him was covered with powerful thunderbolts. He was firmly locked in by these surging thunderbolts. What kind of genius did this so boldly? Mitarashi Anko soon discovered the kunai and detonator dust debris scattered on the ground. These are, looking at the signs of these things, it seems to be the little guys from Konoha. So it was Konoha who made Orochimaru look like this. Impossible. She also watched Konoha's group of children. Although he can be considered a genius, he has absolutely no such ability. Mitarashi Anko carefully observed the distribution of the power grid. She was surprised to find that these are traceable. Everything has nothing to do with the suffering scattered on the ground. So it was really made by Konoha's students. For a moment Mitarashi Anko was full of doubts. Seeing it, quote, Orochimaru slowly came out of the lightning grid. Are you quite a genius? In this respect, you can't compare to you back then. When Mitarashi Anko heard Orochimaru's voice, he held the kunai in his hand vigilantly. Isn't he trapped? You don't really think this kind of thing can trap me? Orochimaru laughed lowly when he saw Anko's performance. He just wanted to have a good taste of the rare taste of failure. Mitarashi Anko's eyes deepened upon hearing this. That's right, Orochimaru is not an ordinary ninja. How could he be easily recruited? So what is he going to do? Anko's heart was full of confusion and doubts. What on earth are you trying to do here? Did he come to assassinate Hokage-sama? Orochimaru shook his head and said meaningfully. I just want to bury my mark on the outstanding talents in the village. Here is the child I want. Unlike you, they're pretty good kids. And with a handsome appearance, it is very suitable for my container. So don't stop this test. If you take my joy away, the end of Konoha Shinobi Village will come. At the same time, Wu Jiaowu and Sasuke had already left this place. Mr. Bandage, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Naruto shouted loudly. He raised his mouth and smiled brightly. The battle just now was really cool. Even cooler than Sasuke's usual handsomeness. Indeed, it's really amazing. Little Sakura nodded quickly. I didn't expect him to come to help. Not the enemy. Little Sakura's heart also began to sway. This bandaged boy should have no malicious intentions. Are they misunderstood? Or does he have a bigger conspiracy to pull off? Just barely, Sasuke said, turning his cheek. Huh, Wu Jiaowu said dissatisfiedly, holding his chin. What is reluctance? Obviously very handsome, okay. At that time, he chose the best angle and light, and strived to achieve the ultimate. How can it be reluctant? This guy must be jealous that he is more popular than him. Your acting is so bad, anyone who knows me a little can see it. Sasuke put one hand on his forehead and said without changing his face. He didn't expect to have so many expressions on his face. Shocked. Hearing this, little Sakura also showed an indescribable look on his face. The acting is really bad. However, does this mean that he cannot be a spy? There should be no spy acting so bad. Little Sakura touched her pink hair and thought seriously. Is this okay? Wu Jiaowu tilted his head unconfidently. At the beginning, his acting skills were also certified by many people. Shouldn't it be so bad all of a sudden? Didn't Mr. Bandages act so well that he even tricked the big snake? Naruto retorted. He looks good no matter what. No problem. Haha. Little Sakura smiled helplessly. She seemed to be grayed out as a backdrop. Didn't find out because he didn't know Sasuke at all. Try someone else. And, Naruto, is your vision believable now? Seeing Wu Jiaowu's and Naruto's same smiles, little Sakura suddenly felt that his head was getting bigger. This is how to do. At this moment, Sasuke inserted into the topic. Where are we going later? Sasuke asked suspiciously. The central tower. Wu Jiaowu raised his chin and gave an idea. Didn't you get the scroll yet? There should be quite a few heads in that place. Oh no, the scrolls can be snatched. He bent the corners of his mouth and said with a smile. Little Sakura's mouth twitched slightly. What you were trying to say was a human head. By the way, where's your companion? She asked Wu Jiaowu suspiciously. Don't you need to join them? Does it matter? It was as if those two of his teammates had not been seen from the start. If it wasn't for the battle just now, would they have already converged? What about them? Wu Jiaowu tilted his head and thought seriously. Probably somewhere to play. You'll see them naturally when you get to the central tower. Do not worry. Let them go and collect scrolls first. At their speed, it should now be near the center tower. Now let's replenish my stamina. Sasuke said calmly. Let's go to the central tower later. Sasuke, didn't expect you to be tired now. Naruto suddenly said with a loud laugh. He also had a big smile on his face. Idiot, do you understand? Sasuke said with a dissatisfied expression. There seemed to be flames burning in his eyes. There must be more enemies in the center tower. Maybe someone has already set up an ambush there in advance. Be prepared, of course. Who are you calling an idiot? Naruto stood up and looked at Sasuke. Of course you, idiot. You're an idiot, super idiot. Fool, idiot. Suddenly, salsa. A rustling sound suddenly sounded not far away. What sound? They stopped arguing and looked at the haystack on the side. There, a squirrel emerged from the haystack. It slowly ran towards the crowd. Squirrel, and it's a squirrel with a detonator. Sasuke's superb insight soon led him to a clue. His eyes were slightly deep, and he gestured to little Sakura and Naruto beside him. Look, that squirrel. Naruto scratched his head and thought with some doubts. What's wrong? Sasuke, how did he react like this? He followed Sasuke's gaze towards that direction. There seems to be something wrong. Isn't this a detonator? They used this kind of thing just now. This. Naruto's voice was blocked by little Sakura before he could hear it. Obviously, she also found the problem here. They are being watched. The three exchanged glances secretly and continued to maintain their previous state. Then, seemingly inadvertently, the squirrel's progress was stopped by the flying kunai. After experiencing Wu Jiaowu's superb trap placement, their ability to judge it has grown day by day. This level of trap has been difficult for them. At the same time, the sound and ninja three people on the tree were watching them silently. Have they found out the detonating charm that the squirrel carried? A trace of doubt flashed on Sark's face. It always feels like those little devils have found it. I'm not sure, but I have to observe it at a close distance. Tuz shook his head and said in a low tone. However, it doesn't matter if you find out. They are destined to stay here today. Zuo helped the three of them come out of their thoughts just now, and suddenly realized that one person was missing. Why didn't Wu Jiaowu come back when he said he was going to fetch water? What about others? Just as they were thinking, an exclamation suddenly sounded in their ears. Ha, squirrel! Everyone followed the familiar voice and looked over. At this time, Wu Jiaowu rushed towards the squirrel with great interest. The short white hair flashed in front of everyone in an instant. At sunset, next to the grass, all that was left for everyone was Wu Jiaowu's back with a happy escape. The three of Sasuke fell silent at the same time. No way. What are you doing? Can't you see it? This is a trap. Can you fall for this level of trap? Isn't the trap you made just now that even Orochimaru can deceive it? Why are you planting on this? Stop it now. The three pupils were suddenly shocked. Dangerous, there is a detonating talisman, get out of the way. Sasuke hurriedly shouted. His face was full of helplessness and worry. Little Sakura and Naruto on the side also quickly stepped forward to remind them. Get out of the way, don't touch it. Hey, Mr. Bandage, you've been fooled, come back. Their shouting was of no use, Wu Jiaowu still hugged the squirrel. Boom, in an instant, a huge explosion sounded suddenly. Smoke and flames spread out. The figure at the center of the explosion also seemed to collapse instantly. Sasuke's faces were also full of shock. Question mark, question mark, question mark. The three of Yinin, who had been waiting for the opportunity on the tree, also instantly discovered their absence. Good chance. The three of them threw countless kunai with their right hands and attacked the Sasuke trio. Swipe. The three of Sasuke quickly dodged to the side. Who are these people? Why attack them? And the second brother, is he okay? Sasuke pondered this while dodging the sharp kunai. It's not a good habit to be distracted in battle. Inantos attacked Sasuke. Sasuke took a few vertical jumps to get out of the range of Oninin. Dodge. Wrong. Sasuke suddenly felt a loss of strength and staggered back a few steps. He touched his ear, and bright red blood appeared in his palm. How is this going? Obviously he has escaped, why is he still injured? Right now, Wu Jiaowu suddenly appeared between the two, holding a squirrel that wanted to be free. Hey, kid, you're too rude and hurt again, he said in a playful tone. Hearing this, a hint of helplessness flashed in Sasuke's eyes. This guy really isn't dead. Sasuke's eyes quickly settled on the squirrel in Wu Jiaowu's arms. The corners of his mouth twitched, and his expression became complicated. Years of experience told him that his second jerk brother probably pretended not to hear their conversation in order to catch the squirrel. He always seemed to be restless, and felt uncomfortable if he didn't do anything. Didn't you die in the explosion just now? Toth, who was interrupted by the battle, asked suspiciously. He clearly saw a figure fall. You said that, Wu Jiaowu said seriously, holding his chin. That's the orange man, not me. I don't understand what you're talking about, Yin Rentos said slowly. Are you going to join the battle too? Although his name is not on the mission, if he insists on blocking it, he doesn't mind adding him. Wu Jiaowu quickly shook his head and refused. He quickly pushed Sasuke over and said quickly. I'm not good at things like fighting. Let Sasuke-kun do it. The previous battle was too tiring, and he had to take a good rest. Just let Sasuke do it. Anyway, children need more exercise. Wu Jiaowu thought sincerely. Sasuke, who was pushed aside, twitched at the corner of his mouth. Sure enough, relying on this guy is better than relying on himself. It's so unreliable. Choose attacked Uchiha Sasuke instantly. Sasuke tried his best to push back. The familiar feeling rose again when they fought. His strength vanished again. What happened, so fast? A voice, he muttered to himself. Wu Jiaowu said helplessly with his arms folded. Little devil, you finally found out. I thought you would find out after being beaten horribly by the opponent. That's right, the sound. He slowly looked at Uchiha Sasuke beside him. Do you know what the so-called voice was originally? Shock, Sasuke replied after thinking for a while. A correct answer is to be able to hear, which means that the eardrums pick up the vibrations of the air. Then the human eardrum would be shattered by sounds in excess of 150 decibels. At the same time, if there is an impact on the deep third semicircular canal, the whole body will lose balance. Wu Jiaowu said slowly to Sasuke next to him. How could he know my moves so well? The opposite twos also heard Wu Jiaowu and Sasuke talking. A look of shock appeared on his face. How could his tricks be seen by him so quickly? Soon he withdrew his shock and looked at everyone with a blank expression. What if you know? No one can go faster than the speed of sound. Your body won't be able to hold it any longer, right? Two said calmly. You're doomed to die here. Years. Oh, not necessarily, Sasuke said coldly. Or Goju Sharingan didn't know when to start it, silently staring at Toth's every move. After understanding his attack principles and moves, everything became simpler. Sasuke attacked Toth instantly. Fire style. Phoenix fire. Sasuke shouted loudly. This trick doesn't work for me. Toth shook his head. He opened his hands ready to cast sound waves. At this time, the hidden shuriken in fire style was also revealed. What is a shuriken? Just when he panicked, Sasuke flew over with a brisk stride and climbed over to the back of Twos. Instantly launched a violent attack. Toss was directly kicked far, far away. The two companions who were previously prevented by Wu Jiaowu from participating in the battle also saw this scene. They sprinted over to help Toth up. Didn't expect them to be so strong. It was they who looked up to themselves and thought they could beat Uchiha Sasuke. I didn't expect Uchiha Sasuke to be so powerful. And what was even more shocking was the white-haired boy behind him. He seems to be at ease with everything and see clearly. Who is he? You guys are very strong. Toth looked at Wu Jiaowu and Sasuke on the opposite side. Just one Uchiha Sasuke and he can't beat him. Not to mention the mysterious teenager behind him. Since he can easily stop Shochin and Sak, and can immediately gain insight into the principles of his moves, he must not be a simple character. Maybe he'll be even more tricky than Uchiha Sasuke. Even if you stick with it, there will be no results. Toss quickly made up his mind. He looked up at Wu Jiaowu and the others. You are strong. We can't beat it at all. This is compensation. He took out the Book of Earth in his arms and placed it on the ground. Let's get out of here. As soon as he finished speaking, he and the two ninjas were about to leave. It is not advisable to stay here for a long time. Before they regret it, they should go back as soon as possible. Wait a minute, why are you attacking us? Little Sakura shouted quickly. Toth's eyes fell on Wu Jiaowu in the crowd, and he said lightly. Didn't your companion already guess it? After saying this, they disappeared completely. Guess it. Little Sakura followed the line of sight just now and saw Wu Jiaowu, the striking white hair. What the hell is going on? Little Sakura asked in confusion. Wu Jiaowu held the squirrel who yearned for freedom and answered in a relaxed tone. Presumably Sasuke didn't provoke so much hatred, he provokes many ninjas at once. Hearing this, little Sakura suddenly remembered that terrible opponent from before, Orochimaru. Is it still him? Is it for Sasuke again? Why is he so obsessed with chasing Sasuke? During the previous battle, Orochimaru had no intention of concealing his goal at all, and clearly set his sights on Sasuke. Wu Jiaowu said dissatisfiedly, holding his chin. I also said that I needed to accumulate physical strength, but the result was completely the opposite. Hearing his words, Sasuke and the others also looked up at Wu Jiaowu. Suddenly, Sasuke's pupils were shocked, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. He suddenly thought of something, withdrew his voice and reorganized it. What are you doing? At this time, Wu Jiaowu did not have the energy to share with Sasuke. He was staring intently at the squirrel in his arms. You've eaten enough, and this should be distributed to those in need. As soon as the words fell, Wu Jiaowu set his eyes on the plump pine cone. It looks really good, should be delicious. At the same time, he gripped one end of the pine cone with his right hand, while the other end was held tightly by the squirrel. Squeak! The squirrel yelled in protest. How can this be so? It's so unfriendly. Wu Jiaowu exclaimed in an exaggerated tone. Squeak! Squirrel still kept shouting. As a squirrel, don't you think it's rude of you? Wu Jiaowu reprimanded. Squeak! The squirrel was anxious as if tears were about to come out, and the front paws struggled to grab the pine cone. Hey, the world is getting worse, and the rat's heart is not ancient. Wu Jiaowu's expression suddenly became melancholy. What are you doing? Sasuke shouted to Wu Jiaowu again. I can't blame him, the second brother is such a test of people's hearts. Naruto's azure blue eyes also flickered in shock. What's the matter, Mr. Bandage? Are you hungry? Little Sakura covered her eyes with one hand without speaking. Now she suddenly realizes the advantages of Naruto. Although she always gets into trouble, she never challenges people's bottom line. Naruto looks good already. If Wu Jiaowu was her teammate, she would probably go crazy. It's scary. There is no way. I have exercised too much before, and I can't cook, I can only. It's okay, you don't have to worry about me, I can do it myself. Wu Jiaowu felt that he was worthy of the good fortune of tea art, and said to them in a very gentle tone. Sasuke looked at Wu Jiaowu, who was so happy because he won the pine cone competition, with a speechless expression on his face. Don't you think the speed at which you change your face is a little weird? And robbing squirrels for food. Is it too late to put on a gentler image? Okay, what do you want to eat, please? Sasuke still knows his second brother very well. If he can't satisfy him now, he will definitely make a bigger move later. No, I'll just. Wu Jiaowu was interrupted immediately before he could finish speaking. If you don't need it, forget it. Sasuke said calmly. Wu Jiaowu hurriedly waved his hands and explained what he needed one by one like a recipe. Sweetened version of 3-color balls, strawberry milk, supreme version of chocolate cake. The more he spoke, the darker Sasuke's face became, as if dripping ink. Finally Sasuke said coldly, I don't have what you said here. However, here I have bitter gourd balls, chili milk, and coriander version candied haws. With Sasuke's words, Wu Jiaowu's expression became more and more desperate. What the hell is this? Are you sure it's what people eat? He could endure everything else, but the last one couldn't. Can coriander also be made into candied haws? What kind of devil's food is this? Will anyone really eat it? Reject. Completely reject. Forget it, I'll still eat pine nuts. Wu Jiaowu looked down and looked back at the shiny squirrel in his arms. Squirrels, bah, pine nuts are actually quite tasty. The little squirrel in his arms was shivering under his stare, eager for the outside world. Seeing the second brother's reaction, Sasuke touched his forehead with one hand and sighed helplessly. How about grilled fish? It's faster to use local materials. It can also be used as a reserve grain if it is pickled. As the sweetened version of grilled fish okay? Wu Jiaowu asked curiously. Although as long as it is not coriander candied gourd, he can do anything. But it would be even better if you could add some sugar. Ordinary grilled fish, okay. Sasuke said to Wu Jiaowu with a smile. There seemed to be a thick black mist behind him, and the atmosphere was extremely depressing. The momentum of the whole body has also changed. Ordinary grilled fish will do. Wu Jiaowu sighed and said sadly. As for the rest, Mr. Over there, over there. Wu Jiaowu's blue eyes lit up slightly, he raised his bandaged arm and said quickly. Okay, Naruto yelled. He entered the water again and swam towards the direction Wu Jiaowu pointed. Great harvest. Naruto picked up dozens of fish and emerged from the river. Okay, very good. Wu Jiaowu's white hair swayed in the air. He blinked a bright smile on his lips. Let's conquer the starry sea in front of us. Conquer the oceans, Naruto shouted, raising his arms. The fish in his arms also jumped into the water and escaped. Rule the fish, ha ha ha, the two laughed in unison. Seeing this scene, the corner of Sasuke's mouth twitched fiercely. Is this just a lake? Where did the ocean come from? And Naruto, what are you doing? Did you forget the fish in your arms? Hey, Sling, your fish ran away. Sasuke said indifferently. There's almost enough, we don't need so many fish. 443. He stroked his forehead helplessly. After a long time, everyone returned to the shore. They sat around the fire and started grilling the fish. The Book of Heaven in our hands, plus the Book of Earth from Yinin, the scrolls on both sides have been collected. Sasuke said in a quiet voice. Yeah, in this case we can only use the central tower. Little Sakura also happily agreed. So, maybe we'll be the first team to reach the center tower. Naruto scratched his head and smirked. Daa. At that time, Iruka-sensei will definitely look at him differently. It should be almost done. Wu Jiaowu murmured while holding his chin. He didn't pay attention to the conversation of the Sasuke trio. The pale blue eyes stared straight at the lake fish that was still being roasted. Well, the color looks pretty good. It would be even better if there was more sugar. He touched the bandage and pondered for a while, and soon took out a box of rock candy from his arms. Fortunately, he had foresight and prepared this in advance. Wu Jiaowu secretly rejoiced. Ninja. The way to keep rock candy. He quietly performed ninjutsu, and attached a layer of chakra to the surface of the rock candy, so that the rock candy could be perfectly attached to the lake fish without falling. The surface of each fish is successfully coated with a layer of crystal clear rock sugar. Bingtang Lake fish is about to be done. On the other side, the Sasuke trio also ended their exchange. Their eyes returned to the grilled fish. Why do I find it so strange? Naruto looked at the grilled fish, which was shining brighter than usual, in confusion. How do you feel that something is wrong? Sasuke glanced suspiciously at Wu Jiaowu next to him. Did he do something wrong? It doesn't seem to be the case with the fish grilled before. Little Sakura on the side also saw Wu Jiaowu's masterpiece. Why does this grilled fish look familiar? Where have you seen it? Little Sakura thought hesitantly. For a while, the eyes of the three of them couldn't help falling on Wu Jiaowu. The opposite Wu Jiaowu seemed to feel something. He raised his face and looked at the crowd with a magnanimous expression. Under the sun, the pure temperament is unobstructed. What's going on here? Why don't you guys start? Wu Jiaowu said, puzzled. Then he picked up the grilled fish on the fire and started eating. Crunch. A sweet smell lingered on his lips and teeth. Sure enough, the grilled fish with added sugar tastes better. However, the amount is still small. Next time I will double the sugar. Wu Jiaowu's actions quickly made Sasuke lose their vigilance. Sasuke quickly stretched out his right hand and picked up the lake fish that had been grilled in the fire. It's also time to replenish your stamina. Otherwise, it would be bad if the enemy's physical fitness could not keep up when rushing on the road. He lowered his eyes and bit the grilled fish in his hand. At this moment, a sweet and bitter taste poured into his mouth. The crushing feeling of the rock candy also remained in the mouth. Suddenly, a distorted look appeared on Sasuke's face. What devil food is this? At the same time, Naruto on the other side made the same sigh. What the hell is this? Bah, it's so unpalatable. Strange, how can it be so bad? His face turned green and black. The sweet hair is so sweet that it is hard to say anything. Little Sakura put down the grilled fish in her hands. She finally knew why she felt familiar just now. Isn't this the upgraded version of Bingtangulu? It's just that others use fruit, but here they use grilled fish. Grilled fish candied haws. Which genius invention is this? Why do you want to do this to yourself? The three of them vomited wildly amid Wu Jiaowu's crunching sound. There is no need to ask them to instantly know who the culprit is. Isn't it delicious? Wu Jiaowu blinked and looked at them suspiciously. I paid double the sugar. Is it still less? Mr. Bandage, why don't you mention the word sugar? Naruto said weakly. He wants to vomit when he hears it now. Mr. Bandage's calm image in his mind was completely shattered. Can't pick it up. In some respects, he is almost identical to Kakashi-sensei. I'll go get some water to drink. Sasuke struggled to his feet. He slowly left the place with the bamboo tube. At this moment, little Sakura and Naruto were lying on the ground silently as if poisoned. Their souls also seemed to have left. You guys are. Wu Jiaowu blinked and seemed puzzled. Finally, he put down the grilled fish in his hand and lay down too. I'll cooperate as well. The breeze blew their hair, and the sun shone down. After a long time, Wu Jiaowu suddenly opened his eyes. Under the bandages, the pale blue eyes were sharp. Someone came. A few breaths had passed before time passed when a hurried footstep sounded suddenly. What happened to you guys? Is there nothing? A familiar voice suddenly woke up little Sakura and Sasuke lying next to them. When they opened their eyes, they were greeted by the familiar face of Yakushi Kabuto. Meanwhile, the Konoha village office. Although the situation is serious, this exam cannot be suspended. Mitarashi Anko spoke slowly. What's going on? Anbu staff in the room asked with a serious look. Just at this time, squeak, the door of the office was suddenly opened. Excuse me. A ninja walked in slowly. What's the matter? People are discussing important matters. Anko looked at him dissatisfied. I'm sorry, but please take a look at this. The ninja gestured to them with a videotape. He put the videotape into the machine, and the TV screen also appeared. Okay, Here, ninja said, pointing somewhere. Watch the time here. Mitarashi Anko sat on the sofa and watched the video carefully. In the video, the figure of Bai and Ghost Lantern Yu suddenly appeared. Ah, this is. She looked suddenly stunned. This was filmed in the tower 1 hour and 37 minutes after the start of the second test. The ninja just now explained. There's such a thing. Anko's face flashed incredulous. The other ninjas in the room also exclaimed. It only took 97 minutes to reach the central tower, which is unprecedented and extraordinary. Their level is no ordinary genin. It actually broke the record for the fastest 4 hours ever. Who are they, so powerful? Not only that, Mitarashi Anko shook his head and continued. What do you mean? The ninja from the new opened his mouth slowly. Mitarashi Anko stared at the TV screen and said in a calm voice. The distance from the entrance of the exam to this tower is about 10 kilometers. Walking through a forest full of beasts, poisonous insects, and danger, and they didn't seem to be doing anything. Especially, she suddenly paused. Especially what? The others in the room asked curiously. Didn't you find it? Mitarashi Anko pointed to the screen in front of him and reminded. That's it, it's amazing, it's amazing. Some ninjas quickly understood. What the hell do they have? The new ninja hadn't figured out yet. Look closely, on those guys. Mitarashi Anko zoomed in on the screen. On the body, so that's the case. The new ninja's expression suddenly came to a realization. Uninjured, not only that, but not even a single stain was found on the clothes. How strange. Which ninja village are they from? How can the strength be so strong? So that's how it is. Yakushi Kabuto smiled after listening to little Sakura's explanation. I thought something happened to you. No, how could it be? Little Sakura put away the grilled fish before embarrassedly. Such a humiliating moment was discovered by others. She suddenly grayed into a background board. The opposite Yakushi Kabuto pushed his glasses, and the mirror light flashed an ominous streamer. What a pity. Given the current situation, the possibility of a successful approach is really not high. It needs to be planned. His eyes silently swept across Wu Jiaowu not far away. At this moment, Wu Jiaowu was trying to swallow the remaining half of the weird grilled fish in his mouth. Although it is only half a fish, the portion is not light. The white boy seemed to be choking all of a sudden. Naruto next to him started shaking him hard. During the struggle, the two knocked over the fire at the same time, and the scene was messed up for a while. Is this what Orochimaru-sama wants me to focus on? It doesn't seem to be anything special, does it? Or is his talent and talent only revealed at very isolated times? Just let me observe you carefully. Wu Jiaowu. At the same time, Sasuke, who had just returned, immediately realized that something was wrong. The strange ninja and the messy scene were reflected in his eyes. Are there enemies? His eyes were shocked, and his eyes became sharp. The bamboo tube in his hand fell to the ground instantly. Clear water also splashed out. He took out the kunai in his hand and hurried forward. What do you want to do? He shouted. Yakushi Kabuto's eyes flickered slightly when he heard Sasuke's voice. He turned away slowly, with a friendly smile on his face. Do not misunderstand. It's me, Yakushi Kabuto. Didn't we meet in the exam room before? He fixed his eyes on Uchiha Sasuke in the blue suit. This was the second person that Orochimaru-sama had ordered to pay attention to. Strangeness. Logically, shouldn't Uchiha Sasuke be the one who needs the most attention? The only survivor of Uchiha, who has a strong blood lineage, has been gifted since childhood. The combination of these things is truly remarkable. Why did Orochimaru-sama make him focus on the white-haired boy? Could it be that his bloodline is more rare? Yakushi Kabuto's heart turned 1,000 times, but there was no flaw in his face. Seeing the familiar face, Sasuke on the opposite side was taken aback. The vigilance in his eyes was also a little less. However, he still held the kunai in his hand and asked coldly. How will you be here? And how does the scene look like after a battle? Sasuke, you're back. Little Sakura, who saw this scene, said quickly. Don't get me wrong, senior, he has no ill intentions. She soon noticed the look Sasuke was looking at the mess. How can she describe the weird event that just happened? A bloody case caused by a grilled fish. Forehead. Just when she hesitated, Wu Jiaowu and Naruto also rushed over. I'm back from fetching water. Wu Jiaowu looked at Sasuke with a wary expression. His expression was quite calm, and he couldn't see the appearance of being choked by the dark food just now. Yeah, Sasuke simply turned back and looked at Yakushi Kabuto nearby. It's team competition time, what are you doing here? He questioned coldly. Is it for the scroll? Although he had met before the exam, it could not prove his innocence. The previous examiner also said that everyone is an enemy, and no one can believe it here except his teammates. Of course, Wu Jiaowu is an exception. Yakushi Kabuto looked at Sasuke's wary eyes and smiled slowly. The silver hair also sparkled in the sun. I didn't expect the new generation of candidates to be quite vigilant. However, that's fine, many people got caught because they were too careless. First of all, I'm really not malicious. He took out 2 scrolls from his arms, which were marked with the words Book of Heaven and Book of Earth. Look, I've collected all the clearance scrolls, as long as I enter the central tower, I can pass the exam. So I won't attack you for the scroll. I have no hostility towards you. It's just that when I passed by here just now, I thought something happened to you, so. Speaking of which, Yakushi Kabuto pushed his glasses reluctantly. Ah, so it is. Little Sakura nodded knowingly. Is that so? Sasuke thought thoughtfully. Wu Jiaowu held his chin and watched them talk calmly. Under the bandages, the pale blue eyes are very calm. Needless to say, Yakushi Kabuto must have been sent by Orochimaru. He should have come at this time to collect data about Sasuke. After all, he had always coveted Sasuke's body. In other words, can't you change someone to watch? The amount of tasks I have has increased a lot as a result. Gone are the days of one-off 6. Thinking of this, Wu Jiaowu secretly sighed. He took his mind back and looked up at Yakushi Kabuto across from him. By the way, why do you think something happened to us? Immediately, the other insiders fell silent. In this regard, Wu Jiaowu, you are the one who has the least say. Didn't it all start because of you? Yakushi Kabuto opposite was also surprised by his question. He pushed his glasses and curled the corners of his mouth. It's so similar, you were all paralyzed on the ground, I thought you were poisoned. Others said that it was not like poisoning, but poisoning. Among them is the poison of dark cooking. Is that so? Wu Jiaowu said vaguely. He did not know where to conjure up a string of 3 color balls, and then put them into his mouth. Where's your partner? Uchiha Sasuke on the other side suddenly asked. The exams were all in groups of 3, but now he is the only one. What about other ninjas? Shouldn't it be hiding? Sasuke scanned the surroundings vigilantly, but he found nothing. This series of actions by Uchiha Sasuke could not escape the keen eyes of Yakushi Kabuto. There was a glimmer of admiration in his eyes. As expected of the person selected by Orochimaru, the quality is excellent in all aspects. A lot of things happened and I got separated from them. But they will definitely go near the central tower. So I'm going to the central tower to meet them. Yakushi Kabuto answered Uchiha Sasuke's questions fluently and candidly. There was no sign of lying in him. Seeing this, Wu Jiaowu's eyes deepened slightly. The corners of his mouth sketched a nice arc. It really made the disguise ultimate. Yakushi Kabuto. Sasuke across from him also looked at Yakushi Kabuto thoughtfully. He pondered for a while and suddenly said, so you didn't just choose to help. Helping juniors and juniors is just a small part of it. Your real purpose should be to accompany us. Because you can't go to the central tower alone without your companions. Only that could explain something odd about him. Yakushi Kabuto seemed a little surprised, he said with a laugh. Now, although some of that is true. But don't underestimate the senior. It's just an optimal solution. Even without a team, my years of experience are enough to get through the jungle and into the center tower. The good appearance and gentle temperament suddenly added a lot of credibility to his words. He didn't wait for Sasuke and the others to speak, and took the lead to leave. Then I'll take my leave. Preliminary observations can only go so far. If he continued to entangle him, he would be discovered by those vigilant little devils. It is better to keep a proper distance. Statistics has never been a one-time task, and he's used to it. By the way, Uchiha Sasuke, this guy is kind of interesting. Vigilance and judgment are very good, but unfortunately he is too young and inexperienced to find his flaws. No wonder Orochimaru-sama was interested in him. As for the other person, So far he has no clue. He looks like an ordinary teenager. Nothing special was found. However, since he can be selected by Lord Orochimaru, I believe he must have something special. He also needs a little time to observe closely. Shortly after Yakushi Kabuto left, Wu Jiaowu and the others also started to leave for the central tower. Wu Jiaowu was on his way while wearing the bandage on his arm. Although Yakushi Kabuto has left, he knows it's only temporary. His eyes were fixed on Sasuke, and sooner or later he would come again. What a hassle. Fortunately, Orochimaru didn't know he was alive. If Amway went to the snake cave by himself as before, it would be troublesome. Little Sasuke, this sweet burden is yours. This is a traditional feature of the three Uchiha brothers. Now it's up to you to make the most of it. Wu Jiaowu thought without conscience. By the way, Mr. Bandage. Naruto said suddenly. What's wrong? Wu Jiaowu recovered from his thoughts. He looked at Naruto suspiciously. That is, how do you know that the central tower is in this direction? Naruto asked in confusion. They have experienced several battles in this dense forest, can Mr. Bandage still be able to tell the direction? Sasuke and little Sakura also looked over suspiciously. Are you kidding them again? Didn't you read the map before? Wu Jiaowu said calmly, holding his chin. There was a strange puzzlement in his eyes. Map. Naruto scratched his head and thought carefully. After a long time, he finally remembered some pictures. Are you talking about something that only lasted a few minutes? You're right in saying that. Anyway, according to the map, the general direction is this side. Wu Jiaowu raised his hair and said lightly. It turned out to be that thing. I didn't expect you to remember Mr. Bandage. Naruto sighed immediately upon hearing this. I didn't expect Mr. Bandage to have this hand. A strong memory is good. Sasuke and little Sakura on the other side suddenly looked at Wu Jiaowu strangely. They also looked at the map, and the general orientation of the central tower was also clearer. But just knowing this is not enough. There are many obstacles on the way from the edge to the central tower. Some even can only take a detour, and there is no way to continue forward. But they went quite smoothly along the way. Not to mention encountering an impassable road, there are no crises and traps. How did he do this? Why did the chosen route happen to be unobstructed? Or did he memorize the entire map and choose the most suitable road? So awesome. Although simply reciting the memory Sharingan can also do it. But it is not a simple thing to find the needed information accurately among thousands of kinds of information, and analyze it. Not to mention changing the course of action according to the actual situation. This does require quite a bit of computation. For a while, Wu Jiaowu's once calm image filter came back. If that's the case, we'll be able to pass the exam right away. Quote. Naruto clasped his hands together happily. It's finally coming to an end. It's too early for you to be happy. Wu Jiaowu unhurriedly jumped to the tree in front of him. The closer you get to the central tower, the more dangerous it is. Ambush? Little Sakura asked after thinking for a while. Those who don't have scrolls will ambush there. It's about the same, Wu Jiaoai said in a flat voice. It's not just people without scrolls that attack. Those who have the reals but don't have the confidence are also there to hit up and down to secure their game. There are also people who will be ambushed for the purpose of exchanging information. Be careful anyway, Wu Jiaowu made the final conclusion. The three soon became vigilant when they heard the words. It is night, near the center tower. Okay, I can finally see the tower. Wu Jiaowu said lightly in the name of Heish. The next thing is to get real. It looks like the exam is almost over. When I go back, I should be able to catch up with the promotions of the dim sum shop. Very perfect. Let's go then, Naruto shouted loudly. He seemed to have no pressure or burden, and raised his right arm with great excitement. Suddenly, Naruto and the others seemed to notice something and stopped. There are enemies so soon, little Sakura said in surprise. There, Naruto turned and threw a kunai behind him. Kunai rushed towards the tree with a cold light. A huge centipede was shot through by kunai in an instant, staring at the root of the tree. What? It's a centipede, Naruto said in disappointment. Ah, so big, little Sakura said with disgust. So disgusting, so many feet. You really caught a cutie. Wu Jiaowu's voice is also a little disgusting. His eyes were calm under the bandages. It's fantasy. They have entered the scope of the illusion. But this time Wu Jiaowu didn't remind him, they should be able to deal with an enemy of this level. They have to let them exercise on their own. After a long time. Isn't it here yet? It feels like it's been a long time. Little Sakura said, panting. Why hasn't it arrived yet? We've been to this place before, Sasuke said coldly. Have you been here? Naruto asked. He followed Sasuke's line of sight. Hey, isn't this the centipede you killed just now? How come here? It's an illusion, we should have been hit. Sasuke quickly figured out what to do. Wu Jiaowu nodded meaningfully upon hearing this. Not bad. Found out so quickly. Observation is still there. He held his chin and looked into the depths of the jungle. The black robe made his figure blend into the darkness perfectly. Well, there are quite a few people here. In addition to the Rain Country ninjas who were about to attack them, there was another person hidden inside. Yakushi Kabuto probably wanted to take this opportunity to observe and collect data. Wu Jiaowu nodded secretly and retracted his thoughts. Where the hell are people? Naruto kept looking around, but in the end he found nothing. Sasuke next to him didn't say anything but just watched everything around him while holding the kunai in his hands. Why hasn't the enemy appeared yet? Little Sakura, one of the three, took a few breaths and asked inexplicably. All the time is wasted here. Wu Jiaowu shook the broken hair in front of his forehead and replied in a relaxed tone. Naturally, because it will consume your physical strength. Then he'll be able to get hold of you guys with little effort. It's like how old you are, Mr. Bandage, Naruto shouted, still vigorous. He turned his head to look at Wu Jiaowu next to him, a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. Apparently it looks about the same size as them. Wu Jiaowu did not continue to speak, he turned his eyes to the distance. It's almost time. At this point an attack should be launched. The first step is to use illusion to mislead the root to consume stamina. The second step should also use similar methods to further consume physical strength. Obviously, this person's own defense is very weak, so he will use this method to fight the enemy. Wu Jiaowu held his chin and thought for a while and came to a conclusion. He also has a lot of experience in consuming the enemy's physical strength and turning a disadvantage into an advantage. Therefore, he immediately guessed the thoughts of the enemy on the other side. At the same time, countless ninjas with strange shapes and similar appearances climbed out of the tree trunks and surrounded them. What? Little Sakura sighed as she stared at the suddenly attacking ninjas. So many. Naruto added another sentence. Haha. The ninjas on the opposite side sneered. What? It's like catching a turtle in a urn. Are you okay? Noisy. Naruto was ignited by his words, and he charged at him with a fist raised. Soon he managed to hit one of the ninjas. Is it that simple? Good job, Naruto. Little Sakura next to him also said. I didn't expect the enemy to be so weak. Wu Jiaowu shook his head and his eyes under the bandages were slightly curved. But it's not that simple. Soon Naruto found himself slipping through the ninja's body with ease. Unable to control his speed, he fell heavily to the ground. The ninja that was hit did not disappear, but a new ninja emerged from the wound. What the hell is going on? Naruto wondered. At this moment, the new ninja also took out his kunai and aimed it at Naruto, who had just stood up. On a branch not far away, Yakushi Kabuto pushed his eyes and saw this scene. This attack was not his design. Just found it by accident. But I just took this opportunity to collect data on those two people. I really don't know what they will do. Yakushi Kabuto watched Wu Jiaowu and Sasuke slowly. In the end, he fixed his gaze on Wu Jiaowu, the white-haired boy not far away. Will he take action in this fight? Miscellaneous. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.